Welcome into the Falcon Media Sports Network pregame show. Nate Hinners joined here tonight by Artie Abrego and Andrew Helkowski in the WBGU 88.1 FM studio inside the Clean Center. Tonight we are getting ready for some Falcon hockey coverage as the Falcons taking on the St. Thomas Tommies tonight. Puck drop coming up at 7:07 from over at the Slater Family Ice Arena. Should be an interesting one tonight between the Falcons and the Tommies. Tommies a pretty good team, but will be interesting to see how the Falcons compete against them tonight.
Yeah, they're ranked number 15 in the nation by the NCAA, so they're a very strong team. They're on top of the CCHA standings. They got 45 points against the conference. They're 14-4-2, and they've had a really solid offensive attack inside the net all season long. They're a really strong team, and BG's got some pretty strong competition tonight.
All right, coming up, we'll talk more about the Tommies as well as the Falcons heading into tonight's matchup. That's coming up next here on WBGU 88.1 FM.
Here's that song again. Here's that song again. For the 100th time today. Here's that song again. It's gonna be stuck in your head all day. Here's that song again. It will make you cray, cray.
You love your kids enough to watch that TV show a bajillion times. Love them enough to make sure they're in the right car seat for their age and size. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
I need some extra money. Do I qualify for the Earned Income Tax Credit?
Use the EITC Assistant tool. With just a little information, this tool helps you calculate eligibility with ease and accuracy, get an estimate of how much credit you qualify for, and get a printout of your results before you prepare your return or visit your tax preparer. To use the EITC Assistant tool and see if you're eligible to claim the credit, visit irs.gov/EITC.
Welcome back into our Falcon Media Sports Network hockey pregame show here on WBGU 88.1 FM. Again, the Falcons tonight taking on the St. Thomas Tommies from over at the Stroh Center. Puck drop coming up here in less than a half hour, 6:39 our current time. Puck drop again coming up 7:07. Anyways, Andrew and Artie talking a bit more about the teams. We'll get to the Tommies coming up here in a few, as again they are a very strong team heading into tonight's matchup. But starting off with the Falcons, how are they looking heading into tonight?
Well, I mean, they're coming off a series where they went into overtime twice against Notre Dame. One of those ended in a shootout win in Notre Dame. The other one ended in a 2-2 tie where they lost in the shootout against Notre Dame at the Slate. So they're a little bit they're coming off some tough Big Ten competition heading back to CCHA. Last CCHA opponent they played was Bemidji State, which they swept that series. So been a little bit of a while since they've really played a CCHA opponent, but looking at it ahead, they're still a very tough team. They played great against Notre Dame in that series. They fought really hard against Big Ten competition once again this season. So it's interesting to see how they're going to be playing against the top team in the CCHA in this game.
Yeah, I thought they played with a lot of heart against Notre Dame. I also think it's impressive that the Falcons have played really well against Big Ten opponents, namely against Ohio State, getting a tie in Columbus, and then, of course, beating them in the Slater. So they've proven that they can hang with they can hang with the big dogs, essentially. And, since the Tommies sit on top of the CCHA, right now, as it stands, they are the best team in the conference. So, Bowling Green's going to have their hands full tonight, but I think they're more than capable of rising up to the challenge.
Yeah, I mean, they have 45 points on the season. They lead obviously the CCHA once again with those points. But what I'm interested to see is just how well they can attack against that defense and that offense. The Falcons. I mean, the last time they met, the series was split. BG took a 3-2 win in that first game and then dropped the Saturday's game a 6-2. That was the last time these two teams played, and they've only played about their total record is 9-7-3 against this team since they joined the CCHA in 2021-2022 season. So it's still a pretty young sort of rivalry here against the Tommies, especially when you look at how long that team has been in the part of this conference since it.
Yeah, certainly. Anyways, let's talk a bit more about the Tommies now. Yeah, as you were saying earlier on in the broadcast, ranked 15th overall. And they look to be a strong competitor to the Falcons tonight. Now, as you guys were saying before, too, Falcons have had good nights against OSU, Ohio State, as well as Notre Dame this past series. So that'll be an interesting factor, too, playing into tonight's matchup. The Falcons have had some strong games, but they've also had some games, too, where they poorly performed. So it almost seems like they need to go out playing their best tonight if they want to be able to compete.
Yeah, I think the one you're referring to, Nate, is the Lake Superior State game when they went 0 they lost that game 1-0. That was at the Slater Family Ice Arena, and that was after they beat Lake Superior State 3-1 earlier the night beforehand on Friday, and then on that Saturday one they really felt cold. But I mean, they managed to bounce back strong with that Bemidji State series, which they won. Both those games were on the road in Bemidji, so that was a really strong bounce back. And then you obviously play the Big Ten opponent, so it was a lot handed that team all at once. You had a tough loss, and then you had to go play in Michigan, and then you have to go to Notre Dame, play at Notre Dame. Then you have to come back to the slate and play against Notre Dame the very next day. So there was a lot really thrown at that team all at once, but they performed well when it mattered most. So it's interesting just to see they're playing against the top team in the conference. That's what you really want to see, how they perform and how they will perform against this top team.
Yeah, I think having this series in the Slater, I think, is going to be a huge impact on the Falcons, especially since, they're coming off really just 2 ties, basically. That's how it goes down in the history books. And then, of course, the last series was St. Thomas up there in St. Paul, Minnesota. And, it's always good to play at home. Especially this season, the Slater has been packed full of fans. So I have no doubt that, the energy in the building is going to be palpable. And I think the Falcons are really going to be able to feed off of that.
I mean, they're coming off a sellout against Notre Dame, so it's interesting to see how that home court advantage is going to play in this one. I mean, the slate is always loud; it's never not quiet. So if you're the Tommies, you got to think about that sort of advantage the Falcons are going to have with all the fans, banging on the glass, chanting at the goalies. That's always going to be an advantage when you're playing at home.
100%.
Yeah, all right, coming up, we'll talk more a little bit about tonight's matchup, kind of talking more about how outcomes could be, as well as players to watch. Plus, we'll get a look at what else is going on around the CCHA tonight, and take a look at what's coming up around Falcon Athletics this weekend. Keep it here. You're listening to the Falcon Media Sports Network pregame show on WBGU 88.1 FM.
What if you were wearing something sexy? What if you were drinking? What if you made the first move? No matter what, sexual assault is never your fault. Support is available 24/7 through the National Sexual Assault Hotline. Call 1-800-656-HOPE or visit RAINN.org. That's RAINN.org. This is Christina Ricci with RAINN, reminding you it's never your fault.
Brought to you by RAINN and this station.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to our Falcon Media Sports Network pregame show. The Falcons taking on the Tommies tonight in a hockey matchup from over at the Slater Family Ice Arena. Puck drop coming up at 7:07. Artie and Andrew, we talked a lot about the two teams in our last segment, but talking more about how tonight's matchup having these two teams together. Of course, the Tommy is the best team ranked, at least in the CCHA. But the Falcons, though, they have had some good games against strong competitors, so that'll be a factor into it. Another factor, too, is what are some players you guys are watching tonight who could make a difference?
Well, I mean, just looking at the Tommies, I mean, they're a very strong offensive team. They're averaging almost about 4 goals per game heading into this one. So, I mean, that attack is going to be ferocious. And depending on who's in the goal, the Falcons could be Cole Moore, could be Jacob Steinman. You really got to lean on them heavily against this team, against a really strong offensive team. So I would look to see just how well the goalies are going to perform tonight for BGSU, because they're really going to have to hold off a pretty consistent offensive attack.
Yeah, for me, somebody to look out for the Falcons is Quinn Emerson. You know, he has 29 points on 8 goals and 21 assists. So I think he's going to be a huge factor tonight. You know, on this on this Tommy's team who is so good at scoring the puck, who is so good at getting it in the goal. I think the Falcons are going to need to respond in kind, not only on the defensive side, but also on the offensive side, getting shots and setting up passes and stuff and trying to get the Tommies misaligned and out of their defensive zones. I think is going to be a huge factor for the Falcons tonight.
And when I look at the Tommies, I think of Lucas Whalen and Alex Gaffney. Those guys lead the team right now in goals per game. Whalen has 18, Gaffney has 16, and they lead their team in points with 33 and 31 respectively. Those two, you're really gonna have to worry about if you're the Falcons, because it feels like they can shoot the puck from anywhere and score. So you're really gonna have to watch out for them, especially throughout tonight's game.
Yeah, you also brought up the goalies for the Falcons, and I think I just want to touch on Jacob Steinman one more time. Obviously has a 91.6 save percentage, and he's only allowed 2.26 goals per game. I think obviously those are great numbers from him. He's only a freshman. I think you're going to want to see those. Honestly, you're going to want those numbers a little bit higher tonight. He's going to need to play his best game of hockey as he has all season, and maybe you want to even look at bringing in more. If he's maybe Steinman lets a few past him, and maybe he gets stretched out behind trying to defend against this Tommy's offensive attack. So I think really it's gonna like you said earlier, it's really gonna fall into the goalie's shoulders.
Well, I mean, I feel like Steinman and Moore have both played fantastic all season long, so I'm not really expecting Coach Williams to pull either one of them for any reason tonight, despite what situation they would find themselves in. So I would feel very confident with either Steinman or Moore behind that net tonight if you're the Falcons.
All right, taking a look at what's coming up around the CCHA this evening. Got two matches coming up tonight. Augustana taking on Michigan Tech. That's also coming up, 7:07 puck drop. Both games actually that's coming up at 7:07. Again, Augustana and Michigan Tech. Then at 8:07 our time, 7:07 Central Time. Got Ferris State taking on Bemidji State. That'll be an interesting one as well. So we'll keep you guys updated on those CCHA scores as our broadcast continues throughout the night. Taking a look at what else is coming up around Falcon Athletics this weekend. Got a few matchups coming up. Gymnastics also in action tonight in Missouri, taking on Southeast Missouri State and Simpson College. We will have a recap of that on bgfalconmedia.com. Also, we'll have a recap of the Judd Logan Invitational that's going on at Kent State, and women's track is competing at that tomorrow. Softball, they got in action today. I didn't get an update on how they did today. You guys know how they did today? All right, anyways, they will though we have a recap of that, or we'll at least have a recap up soon on bgfalconmedia.com. When I saw Ben Korak today, he seemed like he was in a good mood, so I assume they did decent at least. But you can check out how they did for sure on bgfalconmedia.com. You can also check out tomorrow's recap as they take on Hampton and Queens University. They play those teams tomorrow.
I believe those games, it says according to the website, those are canceled.
Oh, okay.
So that might be due to weather, but they did win today 11-9. So the season is off to a very strong start against Queens and Hampton. So they're 2-0 to begin the season. All
right, so they played today. Apparently are off tomorrow now. So thanks already for that update. Women's basketball taking on Coastal Carolina tomorrow over at the Stroh Center. 2 o'clock tip-off for that. That game will be here on WBGU 88.1 FM. RDU will be on the board for that one.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited to see if BG Women's Basketball can get a little bit of a bounce-back win after a couple of tough losses.
Yeah, they've been struggling recently, but we'll see how they can do against Coastal Carolina. Then we got men's basketball. They're in action tomorrow. Not nearby, though. They're taking on Arkansas State in Arkansas. 3 o'clock tip-off for that. We'll have a preview and recap on bgfalconmedia.com. Hockey in action tomorrow night as well, of course. 6:07 puck drop tomorrow night. We'll have that, of course, here on WBGU 88.1 FM. And then gymnastics continues on Sunday over at the Stroh Center. They're taking on Wilberforce and Fisk. tomorrow or on Sunday at 2 o'clock. Recap and video and photos of that on bgfalconmedia.com. So that's a look at what we got coming up around Falcon Athletics this weekend and our coverage from the Falcon Media Sports Network. Right now, let's take a quick break, and we'll have our Falcon 4 keys to the game coming up right after this. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to WBGU 88.1 FM.
My name is Teresa Barber. I was in the United States Navy, and I served overseas in the Middle East and Africa. Early on in my career, I had a commander that taught our suicide prevention training, and the very next day, he took his own life. 90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. My way of continuing my service is to help protect my community by being a responsible gun owner and by storing firearms safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad.
Be a part of Black Swamp Players, BG's award-winning community theater group. BSP produces a 5-show season, adds on the winning play from our Playwriters competition, hosts improv and special events, and is totally volunteer-run. You can be part of this inclusive arts community in many ways, on the stage, in the director chair, as an usher, watching from the audience. Come see our Black Box Theater and find out how you can be involved. More at blackswampplayers.org.
This week's Falcon Media Sports Network Athlete of the Week is women's track and field mid-distance runner Rachel Hoover. The sophomore set BGSU school records in the mile, winning the event in 4 minutes and 40.35 seconds, beating 45 competitors including runners from 5 Big Ten teams. She also won the 800 meter with 2 minutes and 12.64 seconds. Hoover was first team indoor All-MAC and first team outdoor All-MAC in 2025. Hoover cut down her mile time by 10 seconds from her previous PR just 12 days prior. She's taking a big leap in her race now compared to when she was a freshman, head coach Lou Snelling said. This has been Falcon Media Sports Network's Athlete of the Week.
Welcome back into our Falcon Media Sports Network pregame show. Nate Hinner's joined here in the WBGU 88.1 FM studios by Artie Abrego and Andrew Elkowski. Less than 15 minutes away from puck drop now over at the Slater Family Ice Arena as the Falcons taking on the Tommies tonight from St. Thomas, Minnesota. So Artie and Andrew, your Falcon 4 keys to tonight's game.
Well, mine are pretty simple, just coming off that Notre Dame series that they played. That was the most recent one, so just kind of good to look at that. So I would just say avoid getting into a dogfight with the Tommies. You don't want to go on these long stretches where guys are going back to back and back. You want to just get a solid lead and keep it there for the entirety of the game. Keep up a pretty consistent attacking the net. You know, just keep around there. Just try to fight for those goals and maybe get some dirty goals. Just try to get the goalie out of position, out of the net. Avoid dumb penalties. I would just say there's a lot of times against Notre Dame where a couple of players just spent a little too much time in the box for my liking. You don't want to take anything that's like too risky or too aggressive with those hits you're taking against this team. So you want to avoid spending time in the box. And fourthly, you just gotta trust your goalie. You just gotta go out there, make sure he's defending great, and just keep him protected.
Yeah, I think for me it's going to be staying true to your assignments, especially on defense. You know, this is a team that likes to move the puck. This is a team that's going to shoot a lot of shots. I think, especially on defense, you got to stay in your zones and you got to stick to your assignments. And then I think kind of also you want to make sure you're doing almost the opposite of that, as in, you know, when you're on offense, you want to make sure you're really hammering away at the goal because, you know, I mean, there's no other way to get shots other than to take them. And, you know, that's just what you got to do as a hockey team. You know, I think you just got to keep pounding at the goal. You know, eventually, shots will go your way.
All right, coming up, we'll have more coverage as we get you ready for tonight's matchup against the St. Thomas Tommies. Keep it here. You're listening to the Falcon Media Sports Network pregame show on WBGU FM Bowling Green.
Many Americans have missed regular dental care in the past few years. It's important to see a dentist twice a year to identify any problems early. Taking care of your oral health helps overall health. Brushing at least twice a day with fluoride toothpaste and flossing daily can help prevent oral health problems. For more information, visit hrsa.gov/oral-health.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
It certainly is a big radio.
It's a very big radio.
A big, fluffy radio.
A very big, fluffy radio.
Where's the blues? Some radio stations give you a lot less blues on a big, fluffy show. Where's the blues? At the Blues Breakfast, we serve up a show we modestly call a single. And the Blues Breakfast show plays more blues than the Whopper or the Big Mac. On the Blues Breakfast, you get more blues with less fluff. So tune in to 88.1 every Saturday morning from 10 till 2. Where's the blues?
I don't think anybody's in there.
On September 28, 2025, BGSU women's soccer's Lizzie Boltnick scored her first goal in 2 years in a 4-0 win over Central Michigan. She later earned a brace in the win. Falcon Media Sports Network's Henry Costco had the call of her first strike.
It's around Boltnick. Gonna have a lot of space here. On this side, she's gonna be on the breakaway. The 2-on-1. Borgman has to get back towards the goal, and she's got to put it forward over the head of Borgman and in. Lizzie Boltnick. Unbelievable. Taking advantage of Borgman being up near the midfield line.
This has been a Falcon Media Sports Network feature call.
Don't have time to tune into a BGSU sports broadcast? Falcon Media Sports Network will have you covered with live updates of home BGSU athletic events. To follow along, head over to @BG_FMSN on Twitter X.
Welcome back to our Falcon Media Sports Network pregame show. Just about 8 minutes away now from puck drop over at the Slater Family Ice Arena. We're here, though, in the WBGU 88.1 FM studio, staying warm as, I don't know, it's a cold night outside here in Bowling Green, but we are warm here in studio. And Artie and Andrew, your final thoughts heading into tonight's matchup against the Tommies?
Well, I mean, I'm just excited to see BG, back in the CCHA action, ready to see how they perform against this top-ranked team in the CCHA. I mean, we all know how talented Bowling Green has been this season. They have a pretty ferocious attack in the net. They have great goalkeeping. It's just a matter of, can they get these last couple of points towards the end of the season to really get some momentum. Right now in the standings, they're ranked about fifth in the standings right behind the Minnesota State Mavericks. You need every point you can get at this time with only a couple of games left to play. You need every win against the conference and every point you can get. So I'm very excited to see how BG's going to perform tonight.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how the momentum from both of these teams will carry over into tonight. Obviously Bowling Green coming off just back-to-back ties. What kind of momentum does that give them? And then of course you've got the Tommies coming in. They're coming off of a series split against Michigan Tech. A win and a loss. And what kind of momentum and what kind of storyline is it for them? Coming in there, or do they feel like they have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder? Because they lost that game only by a goal to Michigan Tech, and then of course you've got the Falcons who had the same score, 3-3, 2-2. So it really makes you wonder, do they both feel like they've got something to prove? Does one, maybe do the Tommies feel confident because at least they got a win last week, or does the Falcons feel more confident because the Tommies did drop a game last week? Just kind of a lot of questions coming in.
Yeah, all right. We'll take one more break right now, and then, when we come back, we'll get ready to send things on over to the Slater Family Ice Arena for coverage tonight of tonight's matchup against St. Thomas. Keep it here. You're listening to WBGU 88.1 FM.
Hi, this is Christina Ricci with RAIN. Every 2 minutes, another American is sexually assaulted. If you or someone you know has been sexually assaulted, You are not alone. Help is just a call or click away through the National Sexual Assault Hotline. Please call 1-800-656-HOPE, that's HOPE, or visit RAIN.org, that's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by Rain and this station.
My daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine. They sent her straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, hey, we're not going to give up. And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful. They saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Kids ask their parents a lot of questions.
Why can't people fly?
Gravity.
Is the moon really made of cheese?
Yep, cream cheese.
When can I move into a big kid's car seat?
For some questions, parents may not have the answer, but that's okay. They can't know everything, but knowing the right seat for their age and size will help protect them in a car crash. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Where do babies come from?
Good luck, Dad. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Get hurt in the game? We tough it out. Feel exhausted? We push on. Feeling down? We pull ourselves up by the bootstraps. But there are times when bootstraps aren't enough. When stress gets to us and we need to talk to someone about what we're really going through. So we're going to reach out because sometimes mental health is not a one-person job. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
The BGSU women's swim and dive team capped off their historic regular season on January 31st with a commanding 227-124 victory over rival Toledo in the Battle of I-75. The win marked their first triumph over the Rockets since 2022 and served as a fitting finale to a remarkable regular season. The Falcons finished with an impressive 13-3 overall record, including a 3-1 mark in conference competition and a dominant 5-0 record at home. Their blazing 12-0 start to the season set the tone for the year, standing as the program's best opening and most successful regular season in nearly 5 decades. The Falcons now prepare for the MAC Championship in Akron, Ohio from February 25th to February 28th, seeking their first MAC Championship since 1981. This has been 60 Seconds in Falcon Athletics.
Falcon Gymnastics heads to Cape Girardeau, Missouri to compete against Southeast Missouri State and Simpson College on Friday, February 6th at 7:30 p.m. Check out bgfalconmedia.com for the recap of the event by Falcon Media Sports Network's Noah Seeley and all news about BGSU athletics.
Falcon Media Sports Network and BG Falcon Media takes pictures for nearly all BGSU and Bowling Green related events throughout the year. Head over to bgfalconmedia.com, check out thousands of photos and all the content.
There's so much more WBGU content available online through our social media profiles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Subscribe to our feeds to get the most up-to-date information about the program schedule, show hosts, and upcoming promotional events. Return to Radio Freedom with WBGU on 88.1 FM and online social media profiles.
Falcon men's golf travels to the Sunshine State for the Lake Jovita Invitational in Dade City, Florida on Monday, February 9th and Tuesday, February 10th. Falcon Media Sports Network's Kevin Hutchinson will have the recap of the event on bgfalconmedia.com.
Wrapping things up for our Falcon Media Sports Network post-game show, Nate Hinners joined here by Artie Abrego and Andrew Helkowski in the WBGU 88.1 FM studio. We'll be back for the Rick Crow first intermission report. For now, though, time to hand things on out to Ben Korak and Kevin Hutchinson. Hey, guys, what's going on out there?
Nothing much besides a hockey game. Nate, great to hear from you, Artie, and Andrew back in the Cooling Center studios, about probably a mile away from here in the Slater Family Ice Arena. And as he said, myself, Ben Korak, alongside Kevin Hutchinson from the Falcon Media Sports Network. For all BGSU sports news and updates, go to bgfalconmedia.com and BG_FMSN on Twitter X and BG Falcon Media on Facebook and Instagram as well. Kevin, back here in the Slater Family Ice Arena for the second game in a row following Notre Dame last weekend, and we got the number one team in the CCHA today, a very key series for the Falcons, who are still trying to make a push toward the top of the conference.
Yes, definitely a very exciting matchup and a very important matchup, as you said. St. Thomas first in the conference. BG currently fifth, but there are only 9 playoff points separating these two teams. This is a big-time series starting tonight.
Bowling Green out in their whites, St. Thomas out in their purples, and we're getting ready to drop puck. We do so between Duran and Lucas Wallens, one back by the Falcon, Ben Duran. Bowling Green coming off of a completely split weekend against Notre Dame, 2 games that went into shootouts. One shootout won by Bowling Green in Notre Dame, and the other one won by Notre Dame here in Bowling Green. Fantastic goaltending performances both nights, and we'll most likely see that again today with Cole Moore, who's been so solid in the net, and the same for Carson Musser for St. Thomas, as we'll unpack as this game goes along. Now on the right wing, Bowling Green with the puck. It's Ben Duran in the corner. He gets it stripped away, and it's back to the freshman defenseman, Bauer Berry, draftee from the Edmonton Oilers. There we see a stretch pass up to Lucas Wallen by Bauer Berry, poked away by Stjernberg out to center ice and back into the St. Thomas end. That's something St. Thomas likes to do a lot, is to really stretch that puck and try and sneak behind the Falcon defensemen. They're going to have to keep their head on a swivel today. On the right wing, tipped in by Sturzer, and taking a hit behind the net of Cole Moore is the Tommies. High slot, deflected away. That was Tyler Hodson. Nate Pilling with the shot, and that one kicked away by Cole Moore. Another shot in, missed wide right. It's out to St. Thomas up at the blue line. They can't hold it in, though. Retreating to make the play there was Quentin Pepper, and he dumps it in favor of a change. St. Thomas gets one. The Falcons will go into the offensive zone. Jeremy Minville back behind the net of Carson Musser. He plays the puck away. Crampton the shot. Save made. Musser hammering at the puck as Minville, and Musser's able to cut it off. That was a dangerous play. A shot in by Crampton, and no rebound coming to the Falcons to try and bury it early here in the first.
Yeah, you see that aggression here from BG early, which makes sense given how tough this opponent is. You want to try to score early and often, because this is going to be probably a long 3 periods here.
Maybe a bit of luck there to number 32, Carson Musser, who is a sophomore for the St. Thomas team, a transfer from Colorado College after last season. 3-3 his record, 4 goals allowed per game. The draftee from Arizona, not great at Colorado College, but he's done a little bit better this season. 3.3 goals allowed per game and just under a .900 save percentage, starting his career with the Tommies that he'll likely be with for the next couple of years. Max Martin on the forecheck, turns the puck over. The Falcons lift it in. Minville ahead for Jake Sloan. Dennis Williams in his press conference this weekend, head coach for Bowling Green Hockey. He said that getting the F1, forward number 1, the first man into the offensive zone on a forecheck, is going to be big for the Falcons, and trying to turn the puck over. They're trying this early, especially with the forecheck of a couple of freshmen, Minville, Connor Levis, and Jake Sloan early. 17:40 to go in the first period. No score, and icing against St. Thomas, and the Falcons will get their first line out for an offensive zone face-off. It's coming to Duran, Waters, and Ryman.
Yeah, and you saw in that series last weekend against Notre Dame, a very even matchup, as you talked about both of those games going to shootout. I think this is a BG team that's going to be hungry for an outright win tonight, but once again, number 1 team of the conference, it's going to be tough to do.
Number 15 in the NCAA, coming off of a Michigan Tech series with 6 games to go, counting today as St. Thomas. Michigan Tech, they split 4-2 win and then a 3-4 loss against another one of the top 5 teams in the CCHA. Puck up to the blue line, tried to be held in by Quentin Pepper, but he couldn't stop it with the skate, and retreating are the Falcons to gather the puck in their own zone. Pretty 50-50 here early in the first period, still within the first 3 minutes of play. Still 0-0 the score. Niedermeyer takes it in, gains the entry at the blue line. Waters playing the defenseman position and guarding that blue line. Now he'll switch back to go for the puck as it's picked off by Attila Lapai, the freshman. 3 goals, 1 assist, and 4 points this season on what is listed as a first line is a lower scoring one, and the highest scoring one, the fourth line for these Tommies, but everybody dangerous. There's Alex Gaffney. He's bumped a bit high by Gustav Stjernberg into the boards, loses the puck, and the Falcons come away with it through their own zone. Morneau with the puck. Tripped down is Emerson. He's got him in the slot. Morneau tried to find him, and it was stuck wide. That was a good try by the Falcons, but Carson Peters with the good defense. Karodiak the shot, cleared back out by St. Thomas. They have it at center ice and will lift it away. Karodiak to gather. 16:15 to go in the first. Still no score. Tipped ahead for Bowling Green. That'll get a couple of men a change. Jaden Grant and Max Martin will go in on the forecheck. Jaden Grant's got a bit of a scoring slump here. 3 goals in a row. The first 4 games of 2026. No points since through 6 games played. Lake Superior State, Bemidji State, and Notre Dame. Up at the blue line, Bauer-Berry with the puck. Gives it up to Cage Sturzer. Open ice, right wing side. Slap shot, Cheslak off the pipe and up into the netting. Saved by the Red Iron where the Falcons there and Cole Moore. 15:48 to go in the first, and a narrow chance keeps it a 0-0 game.
You see both these teams being aggressive and taking their shots early. You know, this is probably going to be a game where they trade some blows back and forth. St. Thomas, they only have 4 conference losses. One of those was to BG the last time these two teams met, so they'll definitely be aggressive here.
One of the top teams in goal scoring in the CCHA, actually the top team, 3.89 goals per game, almost 4 goals per game for St. Thomas. That's 1 a period plus a power play goal. That's an impressive mark for this Tommies team, approaching the highest points that they've scored as a D1 program. They have 111 currently and just need a couple of more to gain the program record for goals in the season. Crampton the shot in, missed wide right. It goes off the half wall, bounces out to about the left wing dot, and is lifted and cleared by St. Thomas. 2 defensemen back for Bowling Green against the Tommies. Good play by Breck McKinley there. McKinley technically on one of the worst stretches of his season, but is still able to put together some pretty good offense. 3 assists in his last 4 games played. Only 9 scoreless games played this season in 3 multi-score games. An impressive player is Breck McKinley, a top 3 defenseman offensively in the CCHA, and maybe top 10 in the nation as well offensively. Durand feeds it in to Waters behind the net. He pushes it back up, blue line. Give it up to Karodiak. Morneau from Higgins can't settle the puck down, and now out to center ice comes St. Thomas. Lifted ahead by Lapai. He'll go for a change. Quentin Pepper goes, takes the puck down south of the goal line. It's going to be played there by the Falcons. Karodiak lost his stick. He'll have to go for it. Slot pass will not land to the Tommies. Puck up at neutral ice. Morneau to drag it through the legs of the defender. Can't do it. And now Mason Pullman will take it up. On sides are the Tommies. Puck picked off by Niedermeyer. Out to center ice. Emerson just long of him. We're going to get an icing against Bowling Green. Some tired legs for the Falcons, and St. Thomas will get their offensive unit out and go try and score the first goal of this game as we're 14 minutes going in the first period.
When the Falcons do score their first goal, it'll be the teddy bear toss, sort of a charitable event that's going on tonight. When the Falcons score, fans will be tossing those teddy bears onto the ice to be donated to kids in need. Kind of a cool event going on.
6 minutes expired here in the first period. Definitely some good atmospheres going around for BG hockey. 2 games last weekend. Great atmosphere in Notre Dame. Better one here in the Slater Family Ice Arena for Game 2. Sold out crowd. Second time this season. Ohio State and now Notre Dame. And a pretty good crowd here today against St. Thomas for the teddy bear toss. And maybe it'll get a bit better tomorrow as well. Helps when the number 1 team in the CCHA is in town. Always tends to bring him in. Van Vliet the shot. Low angle for Sturzer, but he couldn't get a shot off. Karodiak takes a check into the boards after he blocked it. Van Vliet tumbles down to the ice. The freshman, 31 points this season as he gets one into Sturzer in the slot, and the shot is saved by Cole Moore. 13:35 to go in the first.
Yeah, Van Vliet has been very impressive for St. Thomas this year. He's a Michigan native, played for Dubuque in the USHL. He's second on the team in assists and points draftee by the Vegas Golden Knights. He's a big piece of their overall offense.
Tied for third in NCAA in points in the month of January in this 2026. 15 points he had in the month of January. To put it in perspective, he has 31 total. That's over almost half of his points this season are just in 1 month of play, and he was still an offensive weapon before this fantastic month that he has had in January. Now in February, looking to do the same, although of course he has less days to do it. Taking it out to center ice is Minville. He moves it inside the blue line, gives it up to Stjernberg, feeds it to the slot. Max Martin there, makes Musser miss, slap shot, good save there, Musser, as he shrugged off Jake Sloan. Stjernberg can't hold it inside the blue line. St. Thomas touches it up. The Falcons get back on sides. A dangerous chance there, but the right-hand save by the sophomore goaltender for St. Thomas. They have two goaltenders that they can rely on. Aaron Trotter, of course, the senior. We've mentioned his name quite a bit the last couple of years. He and Jake Seibel, the 1-2 tandem, the last two. And now it's Carson Musser and Aaron Trotter, although Trotter's got the nod certainly more than Musser has the last couple of weeks. Quentin Pepper in the corner. Stjernberg sweeps it away from Pepper, who gets away from the hit, gives it back up to Lampai, and now back up across his own blue line. Brandon Wynot with the puck. He tries to disc it out to Jake Sloan. He holds it inside the blue line, high slot, and pulled away by Lapai again. Lapai playing first line, Luke Leyland and Quentin Pepper, his line mates. Leyland, one of a pair of brothers on the St. Thomas team. Casey Leyland, Luke Leyland, both on the team, and their father, Corey Leyland, a graduate of Minnesota in 1992, an assistant coach for the St. Thomas Tommies team. So three Leylands on the, or at least in the rink today in the purple and white, as we have a stoppage of 12 minutes to go in the first. Not very often you get to see that, Kevin, is pretty much a full family out here in the arena supporting one team.
Yeah, it definitely is a family affair for the Leylands. As you said, their father, Corey Leyland, played 16 years professionally, drafted by the Penguins originally.
Back out to the blue line, Niedermeyer and Higgins. Higgins to push it ahead, but he gets picked off, and carrying it down the left wing is Gaffney. He's checked, stood up by Higgins, who's trying to get the puck back. He does so away to Niedermeyer, then picked off by Lucas Wallen. Wallen, the nominee for St. Thomas for the Hobie Baker Award. 18 goals, 13 assists, and 31 points this season for Lucas Wallen. Certainly deserving of maybe one of the best CCHA players and deserving of that Hobie nomination. Currently a 12-game point streak for Lucas Wallen. 3-game winning goals, 2 shorthanded goals, and 11-1 is St. Thomas during the last 12 games. And all 12, Lucas Wallen has scored a point.
Pretty impressive stat right there.
St. Thomas up, big check. Stjernberg turns his back to the man and absolutely buries him. And we're going to get an offsides against the Falcons, but he was absolutely baptized into the St. Thomas bench. 11:15 to go in the first, and we've already seen the biggest check of the night.
For sure, that was just a massive hit, and you heard the reaction from the crowd. This is probably going to be a game that maybe gets more violent as it goes on here. Two very strong teams.
Ryan O'Neill, the receiver of that long hit, the senior from the junior, Stjernberg. And Stjernberg had 77 penalty minutes. That's the most by a Falcon since the 21-22 season. Sam Craggs with 80 in that season, which stands as the CCHA penalty minutes in a season record, at least in the new version of the CCHA since that 2021-22 season. Of course, if Stjernberg does get more penalty minutes than that, he'll go to Lucas Craggs, who had way more than Sam Craggs. That was a while ago in 18-19. That'll be the record Stjernberg chases. Not necessarily the record you want to chase, but if you're Stjernberg and the way that he plays, you'll accept some penalty minutes for being one of the most physical players on the ice at any given night.
For sure, a record is a record.
Up to the blue line, Morneau holds it in, and it gets pinned up in the corner. The Tommies play it away out to the right wing defenseman, Chase Cheslock. Cheslock been here for a while with the Tommies in his junior season, an alternate captain and a draftee of the New Jersey Devils. He was so last season as well when he skated 25.5 minutes per game. That was his average, an impressive number for a college hockey defenseman. Definitely over a period, and almost half the game Chase Cheslock was on the ice. Behind the net and played out by Nick Williams, a transfer from Michigan Tech to St. Thomas. That's a rare inter-CCHA transfer by two of the top teams in the CCHA last season. And 13 points as a Husky through 2 seasons, 15 points as a Tommy through not even a full season so far, so he's caught his stride. Niedermeyer makes a move, high slot, wrist shot, save made. Musser, he kicks it away, and it's recovered by St. Thomas. That was a good chance by the defenseman. Crampton the shot in, no deflection in front. Max Martin makes a man miss, and now going out to the blue line to recover the puck is Niedermeyer. Down back to Max Martin, behind the goal line, gives it up. A one-timer is kind of got by Minville, but he's tied up with the stick. Godbout lifts the puck away for St. Thomas, and it's down behind to Cole Moore for a play. Neutral ice, the white jerseys have it, defended by the purple jerseys of St. Thomas. Purple sweaters take it into the corner and get it away. Cole Miller with the puck, the alternate captain defenseman. 2 alternate captains for St. Thomas on the defensive side, and their captain, the senior Lucas Wallen, certainly deserving of that honor. But the Tommies taking icing there. 9:30 to go in the first, and icing against St. Thomas.
For sure, and circling back a bit to Chase Cheslock for the Tommies, sort of the definition of an unselfish player. He has 0 goals, but he leads the team with 21 assists, always putting his teammates in a position to make something happen.
Bender ran in for the draw, going against Jake Brasini. One back to McKinley, who takes it up the right wing boards immediately. McKinley working in front of Musser, and it's cleared away by Cole Miller. He takes it behind the net. A nice defensive recovery there, confidently by the junior defenseman. Up to center ice, slapped in. Moore slows it down behind the net, but doesn't stop it. And McKinley will have to tag team with Crampton to make sure that the puck stays with the orange and brown. Skating it in, just missed Ryman, who was wide open. A turnover there at the blue line for the Falcons. Quentin Pepper takes it in along Lucas Leyland. He's behind the goal line, gives it up back to Pepper. Leyland and Pepper holding on to the puck, got the rest of the Tommies a change. It's Gaffney out there with Bauer and Cheslock. Back up, blue line, Bauer-Berry, the freshman holds it in. Gives it up to Gaffney, back up to the blue line. Cheslock looking in, his shot missed. No deflection in front, although traffic from both Gaffney and Quentin Pepper. Down into the corner, Morneau chases. He'll touch the puck first. Going for a check there was Hayes Hundley, the freshman on freshman action, and Morneau didn't even leave his feet. Hodson the shot, blocked. Emerson got checked up high by a stick. Cheslock got up there. Hodson and Morneau to the defense of Emerson, and that's probably going to be a high sticking penalty against the Tommies.
You hear those boos raining down from the BG crowd, not because of the penalty, but because of the contact there, and obviously not ideal for St. Thomas. Now you got a BG power play, golden chance for the Falcons to score.
A power play on a penalty to Chase Cheslock. We'll talk about it after we take our Juniper Brewing Company timeout. Juniper Brewing Company located at 145 South Main Street at downtown Bowling Green, featuring coffee and craft beer and serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. See the latest menu at juniperbrew.com. 18-18 to go in the first, no score. You're listening to Falcon Hockey on WBGU 88.1 FM.
If you're a veteran looking to file for your service-connected benefits through the Department of Veterans Affairs, don't go it alone. AMVET's highly trained service officers stand ready to walk you through the process at VA regional offices around the country, helping you to navigate the complex VA system free of charge. With new presumptions for Agent Orange exposure and other conditions, AMVETS can offer you the advice you need to finally receive all of your earned benefits. In 2009 alone, AMVETS helped process more than 65,000 claims and appeals, securing more than $410 million in benefits. To find your nearest AMVET service officer or to learn more, visit amvets.org.
BGSU women's track and field finishes competition at the Doug Raymond Invitational in Kent, Ohio on Saturday, February 7th. Falcon Media Sports Network's Dan Ridenauer will have a recap of all the news and results from day 2 of the event on bgfalconmedia.com.
Whether the Falcons are at the Slater Family Ice Arena or out on the road, the Falcon Media Sports Network is covering them all season long.
A relatively highly penalized player is Chase Cheslock, 18 penalty minutes this season. And now, instead of just a 2-minute minor, and we'll move on from that, we're going to get a challenge from the Falcons on a potential major to Chase Cheslock. The stick was high on Emerson. We didn't get to see a replay of it, at least yet, on our monitor that the lovely people from BG Athletics are able to put up here in our booth, so we're able to watch replays that are on CCHA TV. and certainly was an egregious high sticking, caught Emerson up in the face, and I guess they're just judging here, Kevin, whether or not there was intent.
For sure, and this is, a pretty big deal for St. Thomas, obviously, if this is ruled a major. Now he's out for 5 minutes. And St. Thomas has been relatively good on the penalty kill this year, but still not a position you want to put yourself in, especially on the road.
Yeah, it looked like Cheslock with his stick above waist height. Looked like he was playing the puck, but he did catch Emerson up high. So, in my opinion, just a 2-minute minor, but that's to be settled by the referees here in the Slater Family Ice Arena tonight. Andy Thackerberry and Andrew Rasky, the 2 referees. Linesman Kyle Bushy and Pat Giles, which will have no say in this challenge. The referees in the opponent box. The Falcons with the #1 power play in the CCHA, a title they claimed after last weekend, and an impressive mark for this Falcon team whose power play is run by head coach Dennis Williams directly. 22.4% on the season. The next closest, Augustana, at 22.
After review, the call for this stands as minor penalty.
So losing their timeout is Bowling Green, but gaining a 2-minute power play are the Falcons. Again, the best power play in the CCAJ. The penalty kill for St. Thomas, 5th in the conference dead middle, 80% of the time. And the penalty kills for the CCHA certainly better than the power plays, but we'll see how it plays out now. Bowling Green scored a power play goal in both of their games earlier this season against St. Thomas. Dalton Norris with one of them, although he is probably not going to play for the Falcons for quite a while. McKinley back to the right side. Hodson gives it up. Slap shot. Stjernberg. Save made by Musser, and it's cleared away out to center by St. Thomas. They have consistently been one of the league leaders in shorthanded goals, and a big one to look for is Lucas Wallen. He's got 2, and just in 2026, Lucas Wallen has. So certainly something to look out for if you're Falcons. They like to cheat a little bit toward the offense on the penalty kill. As you saw there, all 4 guys outside of the blue line to try and force the puck away. Going for a change now are the Tommies. Higgins to go gather the puck. 1:15 to go in the power play. 7:30 to go in the first period. No score between the Falcons and the Tommies. Higgins beats the defender. He works in, pushes it off the half wall behind the net, now gathers the puck. He gets it out to the left wing side, back up to the blue line space. Ryman. Crampton, high slot, fed in. Emerson, Morneau hammering at the puck, and Musser shuts it off with his glove on the left hand. So we're going to get an offensive zone draw, and it's tough to gain an entry into the offensive zone against the St. Thomas team, but the Falcons were able to do it there.
Yeah, we've seen multiple times this game the Falcons having a chance in the opposing slot, but Musser has been able to shut it down pretty consistently, continuing the solid season that we've seen from him so far.
10 shorthanded goals this season for St. Thomas in the CCHA. The next closest is Lake Superior State with 4. So not even close really there. The penalty kill coached by head coach Rico Blasi of St. Thomas, previously a head coach of Miami of Ohio, being fired in 2013. Crampton to the right side. Dom Ryman works in high slot and down to the goal line. Poked away on a nice play by Poolman, and he's able to clear it. A great defensive play there by Mason Poolman, the junior defenseman, to be able to turn the puck over. 40 seconds to go in the power play, and the Falcons will try their hand at another entry. All 4 Tommies outside the blue line. Just backing up into it now as the Falcons poke it ahead. They do so behind the goal line. Looking to clear is St. Thomas. They're not able to do so. Emerson holds it in. Shoved down to the ice with the puck at his feet is Higgins. And the puck cleared down again by St. Thomas. 20 seconds to go in the man advantage. Falcons got to work quick if they want to get a power play goal. 10 seconds to go as the Falcons take it out from behind the net. Crampton fakes a drop pass. He's tripped down to the ice, and a penalty upcoming to St. Thomas. So 7 seconds to go, and the penalty to Chase Cheslock on the high sticking. And we're going to get a tripping against Cole Miller and continue for another minute 53 of 5-on-4 coming up.
That's just a ridiculous error if you're St. Thomas. Back-to-back penalties, as you said, just as the penalty kill is ending. Now you put yourself in that situation for almost 2 more minutes. St. Thomas, the best team in the CCHA, but kind of shooting themselves in the foot here.
You saw him just reach that left leg out and trip up. So the Falcons have 7 seconds and an offensive zone faceoff to get a goal on the first penalty. Likely that they won't do it, but crazier things have happened. Durand to win the draw, puck pinned up in the corner. Pullman just trying to ensure that the 7 seconds is worked off. Out to the blue line, Cheslock comes out of the box. McKinley, now Cheslock in the play. Down to the goal line, Waters around to Hodson. Hodson to the high slot, Durand couldn't settle it down, fed in. Musser, Waters, backside, score! Falcons on the power play, throw them teddy bears.
What an incredible play there. They just crowded the slot, found a way to get it in there, and the teddy bears are raining down on the ice right now. All different kind of animals. Looks like we have bears, we got some sharks out there, some dinosaurs, a couple chickens it looks like.
Brody Waters has his 7th goal of the season as the Falcon players and some extra helpers are going to walk down on the ice to clean up the stuffed animals that are being thrown here in the Slater Family Ice Arena. The Falcons score first and make it 1-0 off of the stick of Brody Waters, feed from Ben Duran, and a power play goal for the Falcons. And again, Kevin, as they continue to clean up stuffed animals here, an unfortunate penalty and pretty much an unforgivable one by St. Thomas there to put the Falcons on what would have been an even strength is now a power play goal.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you're the better team, or at least if you're the team with the better record, and you're going on the road, you got to limit those mistakes and play up to your pedigree, and we just haven't seen that from the Tommies so far tonight. Also, BG with 10 shots on goal, St. Thomas with just 1. So St. Thomas not really connecting on those shots or having as much aggressiveness as you might expect from the top goal-scoring team in the CCHA. But they still have about two-plus periods here to try and turn that around.
Waters from Duran and Hodson as they're still continuing to clean up some stuffed animals. So as they do that, we'll take a quick step back. Juniper Brewing Company timeout, brought to you by Juniper Brewing Company, proud creators of the Ale Ziggy Zumba, a light ale made in collaboration with BG Athletics, a fan favorite here in the Slate, but also available at 145 South Main Street in downtown Bowling Green. Falcon Hockey here on WBGU 88.1 FM.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, can potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the
BGSU softball continues early season action on the road in Hampton, Virginia, in a second doubleheader against Hampton and Queens University on Saturday, February 7th at 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. Falcon Media Sports Network's Dawson Pelter will have a recap of the games on bgfalconmedia.com, your home for everything BGSU athletics.
On February 21st, 2025, BGSU men's basketball upset Toledo at Savage Arena for the first time since 2021, defeating the Rockets 69-68. Falcon Media Sports Network's Tyler Kavlitz had the call of the game-winning moment on Falcon Radio.
Johnson inbounds to Campbell. They do not foul. Bowling Green marches into Savage Arena, exacts revenge on the Toledo Rockets, and gets a much-needed conference victory over their arch rivals, defeating Toledo 69-68. What an improbable win for the Bowling Green Falcons.
This has been a Falcon Media Sports Network featured call.
You are tuned into live BGSU hockey coverage on WBGU 88.1 FM from the Falcon Media Sports Network.
Back here in the Slater Family Ice Arena, the Falcons strike first, and thus we saw some teddy bears down here on the ice. Those are all cleaned up now as the Falcons had to do some extra work. Brody Waters finds his 7th goal of the season on the power play, a la the 2024-25 season where he led the CCHA in power play goals. Ben Duran and Tyler Hodson, the 2 assists on that power play goal. And the Falcons, off of that penalty on the trip, center ice from Cole Miller, are up 1-0. St. Thomas takes the puck back after the face-off win, turns the puck over at the blue line, but the Falcons outside of it, so no offense coming from that turnover yet. Bowling Green with the puck back in their own end. Ty Higgins back with Jackson Niedermeyer, both pretty much newcoming defensemen to this Falcon squad as the puck's lifted from center ice to the netting by Higgins accidentally. But Niedermeyer skating last season as a forward, incomplete through the entire season with the Falcons, and Ty Higgins, just a freshman, didn't play last season for Bowling Green and didn't play the first half of the year either. It has made an instant impact to Bowling Green. In fact, Ty Higgins, a power play at the time game-tying goal, made it 2-2 against Notre Dame at Notre Dame. That's his first goal of his career, to go along with what has turned into 7 assists and 8 points through his first 10 games played as a Falcon.
Yeah, that was a big-time goal from him for his first NCAA goal.
Held inside the blue line by Waters, and Duran in the corner, turned over to Lucas Wallen. He gets the puck away, and it's pinned up by Ryan O'Neill, who takes a tumble. Karodiak, his shot, save made. Carson Musser.
Despite allowing that goal, Musser has been generally on point so far tonight. He is going to need some help, though, from that St. Thomas offense. About 5 minutes left here in the first period.
Bowling Green and St. Thomas matched up in St. Thomas in the brand new Anderson Arena in St. Paul, Minnesota. That was earlier on this season. The Falcons won the first game in overtime 3-2, lost the second game 6-2 to the Tommies. In that second game, the win, Carson Musser was the goaltender, an impressive night for him. Cage Surtzer working in, high slot, Falcons cleared away on a recovery by Quinn Emerson, and now with speed come the other way. Hodson takes a bump in the corner. Emerson lays a check on Hayes Hundley, the freshman. Puck back up the center ice. Hundley slow to get up. Emerson's okay as well, as both of them took a big tumble into the corner. Musser stops the puck. Morneau on a huge forecheck. Hodson into the boards in the offensive zone just inside the blue line, and puck will come down and chased and touched up by McKinley. An icing against St. Thomas. Van Fleet on the chase, and it'll come back down for a Bowling Green offensive zone drop. 1-0, the Falcons lead, 4:40 to go in the first period. Stay tuned to the Rick Crow First Intermission Report. You'll hear from Nate, Artie, and Andrew back in the Cooling Center studios that'll talk you through that intermission, what's going on around the CCHA and around BG Athletics as well. Jaden Grant with Max Martin and Jeremy Minville. Face-off one. Niedermeyer takes the puck from the blue line, down, wrapping around. His shot goes high of Musser. He took that low angle on the right side of the goal, and Musser will stop the puck behind the net as the puck came back out to center, and then it's shoved in by the Falcons. Outlet pass to Godbout, and he can't settle it down on the opponent blue line, sneaking behind the D again there. Niedermeyer, victim of Godbout, finding some open ice, but it didn't result in anything major. Higgins got the puck back. He fired it to the slot and didn't land to Grant. Clearing it away is St. Thomas. The Falcons up 11-1 in shots on goal. Now that might change between the first and the second period as they look back and add and subtract goals, but shot on goal only goes one. Oh, what a big check! Sternberg just decked Jake Brasini at the blue line. A penalty might be upcoming. He is very much worse for wear. Sternberg's going to go off. A huge hit. Brasini with the puck, and he is holding his head as he stumbles off the ice.
You know, Falcon fans are used to seeing Sternberg play with a lot of physicality, but right there, he just crashes right into him. Maybe a bit of,
Oh, gosh.
Elbow going right into his mask.
Yeah, that's going to be contact to the head. Oh, my. Just inside the blue line, Brasini is, I mean, if Goose's arm was about, I don't know, a foot lower, completely clean hit, and it doesn't remove the size of it at all. But actually, it looks like there's some blood on the ice that they're going to have to scrape up, so that might be guaranteed to major against Goose, and the Falcons might be playing without their alternate captain defenseman.
Yeah, that's definitely an avoidable mistake there, by Sternberg. Don't want to hurt the team, especially when you're trying to protect a 1-0 lead.
I can honestly say 2 full seasons in this one as well of calling BGSU hockey. That's the biggest hit I've ever seen a Falcon or an opponent of the Falcons deliver.
Wow. It was certainly a massive hit. Almost looked like a hit you would see in football and not hockey.
Those are the kind of hits you see on Nicholas Cronwall highlight tapes on YouTube. And that's certainly worthy of one of them. That was an absolutely massive blow from Stjernberg to Jake Bersini, who we should hope is okay. As
For sure.
Might be concussing, and it certainly drew blood. Here we get the call from the referee. Yep, major penalty in a game misconduct. 87 penalty minutes for Gustav Stjernberg. He passes and into the CCHA all-time lead and penalty minutes in a season, and he'll sit in the dressing room for the rest of this game. Not much argument you can make there if you're the Goose, and he'll go off for that big check, and he'll watch from his suit in the stands.
Yeah, and honestly, not the kind of record you want to break at all, and certainly hurting your team. You know, him being one of the best defensive players on this squad, out for the rest of that game. This really changes the complexion of this entire contest now. Other players on this Falcon squad are going to have to step up and kind of fill the hole that Goose is going to leave behind here.
Gustav Stjernberg now 87 penalty minutes in his 18th game played. The previous leader in the CCHA, which is since 2021-2022, that season. Previous leader was Bowling Green's Sam Craggs. Sam Craggs had 80 in 2021-22 in 37 games played. Well, the Goose is, just about 20 less games played than that, and has beat the penalty minutes mark by 7.
It's
and
incredible.
Now he goes to chase Lucas Craggs, who had 120 penalty minutes in the 18-19 season. Yes, Sam and Lucas were brothers. Lucas definitely the older, and he had 120 in 2018-19. That's the next marker for Goose to beat on a huge hit. And they're still trying to scrape up the blood that's on the CCHA logo just inside the blue line. 3:50 to go in the first. 1-0 the Falcons lead, and a 5-minute power play coming to the Tommies.
Something does tell me, though, that Coach Dennis Williams is not going to encourage Goose to chase that 120-minute mark. Definitely, just those mental mistakes can really change the outcome of a game, especially when you're as important of a player as Stjernberg is. He leads the team currently with 23 blocks, so not having him on the ice immediately, that's a liability for this Falcon team.
Pretty good offensive player, good penalty killer is Stjernberg. And another added layer of depth to this, I believe the NCAA rule is 3 major penalties in a season, and you serve a game suspension, so the Goose might be out for the rest of today's game, which includes 43 minutes and 50 seconds, as well as the 60 minutes plus tomorrow that we're going to see between the Falcons and the Tommies. That start time and puck drop at 6:07 p.m. here in the Slater Family Ice Arena, but a huge play there all around that has season-long implications. That hit from Stjernberg on Bersini. And I'm sure at the end of the season we can look back on that play alone and see how that affects the way that the Falcons play, the outcome of this game, the outcome of the series between the Falcons, who are 5th, and Tommies, who are 1st. You see the replay again. That's just one of the biggest hits I've ever seen.
Yeah, and really just no reason for it. There wasn't any, justifying purpose there. And as you said, this could be an inflection point on the season. Just 9 points separating the 5th place Falcons from the 1st place Tommies. And you want to get all the wins you can get, so anything that hurts your team, not going to be ideal.
So we'll have 5 minutes of unrequited power play. Doesn't matter what is scored. The Brody Waters, who is serving out Stjernberg's penalty, will not come out of the box. The Stjernberg done for the day. Up at the blue line, Cheslock down to the right wing side. Fed in deep. Gage Sturzer makes a man miss, but doesn't get a shot off as the Falcons clear it quickly. Again, second in the CCHA is the Falcon penalty kill. Korodiak has to get eyes on Alex Gaffney, who is cheating up toward the blue line. And now he comes back to try and get the puck. 5-on-4 for St. Thomas for the next 4.5 minutes. Sturzer with the puck. He takes it up the right wing side now, curling back to the blue line. Gaffney at the blue line. Cheslock the shot in. Missed. Goes off the side of the cage. Sturzer clears it around to Shane on the right wing side. Van Vliet back up at the blue line with Cheslock and Shane. Gives it up. Slap shot. Side of the net. Cage Sturzer with the try. Cleared away by the Falcons. And Cheslock couldn't hold it in the blue line. St. Thomas will go for a change. The Falcons have killed off a minute. They need 4 more. 2:45 to go in the first, so we'll have carryover into the second period, guaranteed. Nathan Pilling down the left wing side. He rinks it around, back up to the blue line in space. Wynot goes for a check. The Falcons force it ahead. Wynot could have picked off the puck and would have had a one-on-one breakaway had he saw the puck by his feet. Falcons in the offensive zone with a 2-man forecheck. St. Thomas takes it ahead with speed. Up at center ice, Pilling with it. Leaves it back for Nick Williams, the defenseman, working in at the slot. His pass out to the right side is broken up by Niedermeyer. Williams, another pass to the right side, broken up again by the Falcons. Another shot. Ryan O'Neill, save made. Cole Moore went post to post beautifully. The Falcons trying to clear it. McKinley behind the goal line. Down south of it, now back up north to the blue line. Another shot in. Deflected away on a block by McKinley. Right wing wheel, back up blue line. Another save made by Cole Moore. Hayes Hundley keeps shooting. Slap shot, Ryan O'Neill. Save made again by Cole Moore. Off the side of the net as well. Back up blue line, Nick Williams with the puck. Down to the left wing side, Ryan O'Neill. 1.5 to go in the first period. Backside, shot, score! Left side, Wallen. To the right side, St. Thomas with a power play goal with 1:30 to go in the first. And still 2 minutes 40 seconds to go in the power play.
Hugely disappointing outcome there for the Falcons. You saw Cole Moore playing out of his mind, making multiple saves. Falcons having opportunities to clear the puck away, couldn't do so. And then you allow that goal to bring it back up to even. Still about 3.5 more power play minutes.
I believe that was Pilling that got credit for the goal. If he does, that's his 13th of the season. It's going to be assisted by Wallen and O'Neill. St. Thomas right back in. Korodiak defends into the boards. Back up blue line. And St. Thomas keeps it inside the blue line. Gaffney with it. Down to the red line. Now back up to the blue line. The entry is denied by Grant as he pokes it out to center and goes on a forecheck. 1:05 to go in the first. 1-1 the tie between Bowling Green and St. Thomas. They've already scored on this 5-minute major, has the Tommies. Down the left wing comes Max Martin with speed. He gets space, shot in. Didn't look like it got to Musser on a chance from Max Martin, and we're going to get a slashing against St. Thomas. It's going to go against Lucas Van Vliet with 2 minutes and 1 second to go on the power play. We're going to get a 2-minute minor penalty to St. Thomas, and that'll make it a 4-on-4.
That is a breath of fresh air there for BG, evening things up here with that 4-4 matchup. Max Martin, as we just saw, had a close chance there to connect, couldn't do so. But we will see. Now it's even.
First goal of the game, Brody Waters on the power play. Second goal of the game, Nate Pilling on the power play. Assisted by Lucas Wallen and Ryan O'Neill. And now we have a 4-on-4 for the next 51 seconds of the first period. And then after that, the remainder will be served out in the second. Brody Waters serving a penalty for Bowling Green, sitting in the box for a long time on a penalty he didn't commit. And Lucas Van Vliet goes to the box for 2 his own right. Falcons with an O-zone faceoff. McKinley holds it in the blue line. Gets it down. A little bit deep. Fed back out to Durand. Shot in, deflected down in front. Ryman was being held onto. Nick Williams with the puck down the right wing side in the corner. Falcons to the slot. Ryman couldn't settle it down. He had it at the slot, but he was streaking away from the net. And the left-handed shot was on the wrong side to get a good shot off. 20 seconds to go in the first, a 1-1 tie between Bowling Green and St. Thomas. Crampton, he's taken into the St. Thomas bench, wanting a penalty, or the Falcons, but nothing coming to the orange and brown. 10 seconds to go. Falcons with it on the slot. Hodson to feed it in. Save made Musser. kick behind the red line. St. Thomas with space. 3 seconds to go in the first period, and they'll hold on to the puck for the last seconds. The horn sounds. 1-1, a tie here in the first period. Already some jawing going back and forth between St. Thomas and Bowling Green. We had a major penalty to Gustav Stjernberg. He's now done for the game. The resulting 5-minute major is scored on once before a penalty to Lucas Van Vliet. With 2 minutes to go in that power play, makes it even strength. We'll have carryover of 1:10 to start the second period, and talking us through the first and through the rest of the CCHA and Bowling Green will be Nate, Artie, and Andrew back in the Cooling Center studios. You're listening to Falcon Hockey here on WBGU 88.1 FM.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Looking for a BG Athletics discussion show? Check out The Swoop, where a rotating cast of Falcon Media Sports Network co-hosts talk everything BGSU athletics. New episodes are available every Tuesday at 6 p.m. on the BG Falcon Media YouTube channel.
Quinn Emerson earned CCHA Forward of the Week after a standout performance in the home-and-home series against Notre Dame. Over the 2 games, the senior forward recorded 4 points. He posted a goal and 2 assists on Friday night, then followed it up with another assist on Saturday. Emerson continues to set the pace for the Falcon offense by leading the team in both assists and total points, and is tied for the team lead with 8 goals on the season. This has been 60 Seconds in Falcon Athletics.
Welcome into the Falcon Media Sports Network first intermission report here on WBGU 88.1 FM. It is brought to you by Rick Crow, longtime BGSU hockey fan and listener of Falcon Hockey on WBGU 88.1 FM. All right, Nate Henners joined here by Artie Abrego and Andrew Elkowski in the WBGU studios. And at the end of the first period, the Falcons and Tommies tied up 1-1. So Andrew, kind of an interesting first period. Can you give us a quick recap of what went on?
Yeah, a bit of a slow start for both sides, really. You know, the first 7 minutes, not really a whole lot happening until finally, after 13:52 was taken off the clock, Bowling Green was able to score first off a goal by Brody Waters on a power play. He was assisted by Ben Doran and Tyler Hodson. And then a couple minutes later, with 18:33 taken off the clock, St. Thomas punched back and was able to score a goal of their own on a power play by Nathan Pilling. He was assisted by Lucas Whalen and Ryan O'Neill.
All right, coming up, we'll talk more about things to expect in the second period and, of course, in the rest of the match. Keep it here. You're listening to the first intermission report on WBGU 88.1 FM.
I always had to be so good, no one could ignore me. Carve my path with data and drive. But some people only see who I am on paper. The paper ceiling, the limitations from degree screens to stereotypes that are holding back over 70 million stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes, rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time for skills to speak for themselves. Find resources for breaking through barriers at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad.
Bowling Green women's basketball faces Coastal Carolina in the second leg of the MAC Sunbelt Challenge at the Stroh Center on Saturday, February 7th. Falcon Media Sports Network's Artie Abrego, Sam Bork, and Tyler Kavelitz have a pregame show at 1:35 p.m. before Adam Duffin and Trey Kennedy called the contest at 2 p.m. on WBGU 88.1 FM, your home for Falcon women's basketball.
Welcome back to our first intermission report here on WBGU 88.1 FM. It's brought to you by Rick Crow, a longtime BGSU hockey fan and listener of Falcon Hockey on WBGU 88.1 FM. So, Artie and Andrew.
There you go.
Yeah. I don't know why. I wanted to say Gavin for a second there.
Both our names start with A. You got this.
Yeah,
don't worry.
We had two Andrews on the other night.
That is
so.
true.
Yeah.
That is true.
It's less confusing than that, at least.
Still working through it.
It was Andrew and Andrew. Anyways, so talking more about the first period and about the future 2 periods ahead. The Tommies and the Falcons coming into tonight, Tommies definitely looked favored going in, but the Falcons have been able to keep up pretty well. Again, tied up 1-1 at the end of the first. What are some things you guys think both teams need to do, the Tommies, to really, if they want to beat the Falcons tonight, and then I guess for the Falcons, if they want to be able to compete against this team and possibly get out a win?
Well, I mean, for both teams, it's just about physicality, I feel like, at this point. I mean, we saw it throughout the entire game. I mean, Ben pointed out there was a couple of major hits, a pretty big hit that landed with some blood on the ice near the end of the first period. So it's definitely been a physical game. It's going to continue to get physical. Both teams were a little chirpy at the end of that first period. So it's going to get more and more physical. Both teams are just going to have to play with that physicality that they have. And, power plays, that's the name of the game right now. Both goals have been scored off power plays. So I'd definitely be looking to see how both teams take advantage of that physicality and when they get players in the box and on those power plays.
Yeah, I think you want to be physical, but I think you also want to play cleanly. 5 total penalties so far in this first period, 2 for the Falcons, but those 2 were costly, spending 15 minutes in the penalty box, and for the Tommies, 3 penalties for them, only 6 minutes in the penalty box. So I think there's a difference between playing emotionally and playing with emotion. It might not sound like it's different, but there's one like letting emotions control you, and then there's using emotions to your advantage. And I think for the Falcons, they're going to want to do the latter, because this is an in-conference game. This is a rivalry. It's going to get your blood pumping and it's going to get you angry, but you got to be able to control that anger and suppress it and use it to enhance your athletic performance instead of just pushing and shoving and getting, physical.
Well, I would argue it's okay to be physical, especially in hockey, but you just got to be able to be smart when you are being physical. You can't have those massive hits like you saw near the end of the first half. You kind of have to be smart with it. Like, obviously, some physicality, some checks are okay. Yeah. It's the game of hockey, but you can't do anything dumb. You can't just go for those dumb hits and those hits that just aren't okay. You just got to be able to control yourself and just be able to back up and not do those things, especially if you are going to get a man out on the ice for a couple, like you said, 15 minutes of total time for those couple of penalties. So, like you said, you just got to be smart.
All right, coming up, we will take a look at what's going on around the CCHA this evening. We'll also have our player of the game watch discussion. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Falcon Media Sports Network First Intermission Report here on WBGU FM in Bowling Green, Ohio.
Don't have time to tune into a BGSU sports broadcast? Falcon Media Sports Network will have you covered with live updates of home BGSU athletic events. To follow along, head over to @BG_FMSN on Twitter X.
If you're a veteran looking to file for your service-connected benefits through the Department of Veterans Affairs, don't go it alone. AMVET's highly trained service officers stand ready to walk you through the process at VA regional offices around the country, helping you to navigate the complex VA system free of charge. With new presumptions for Agent Orange exposure and other conditions, AMVETS can offer you the advice you need to finally receive all of your earned benefits. In 2009 alone, AMVETS helped process more than 65,000 claims and appeals, securing more than $410 million in benefits. To find your nearest AMVET service officer or to learn more, visit AMVETS.org.
Childhood cancer it's a long road. It's hard, but St. Jude has gotten us through it. St. Jude has hope that you have a chance at life. And it goes such a long way for every child diagnosed with cancer because everything that's learned is shared all over the world. It's awesome.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Falcon Media Sports Network writes and publishes over 1,000 stories per year, including game previews, recaps, sidebars, opinion pieces, feature stories, and more. Head over to bgfalconmedia.com to view all of our content for every sport throughout the year.
Welcome back to our first intermission report on WBGU 88.1 FM. The Falcons and the St. Thomas Tommies tied up 1-1 here at the end of the first period. Artie and Andrew, some players you guys are watching as we get ready for the second period. Been an interesting game so far, but some players you guys are watching.
For the Falcons, for me, it's going to be Brody Waters. He has that goal. That's his only shot. That's his only goal. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe that's his first goal of the season too. So really, fantastic evening.
Yeah, of course. You're always going to be looking for guys on the Falcons like Tyler Hodson as well. I mean, he's got a point and an assist so far, along with Ben Duran. He's got an assist as well. So you're looking at those two as well. Maybe they can get something going in that second period. As for the St. Thomas side, of course, you got a couple players. Nate Pilling scored that one goal so far on that power play, but also you're still waiting to see people like Waylon and others getting more involved. But I'm really impressed with so far on the goalie performance from Cole Moser. I mean, he let that one go early, but he's has 12 saves so far against BG attack that just keeps coming at the net. So he's played pretty well against a really solid BG attack. So I'm going to look into him for the Tommies in the second period.
All right, taking a look at what's going on around the CCHA this evening. Another tied-up game from Augustana and Michigan Tech. That one also tied up 1-1. They just started the second period, 17:58 left in that. And then also Ferris State and Bemidji State kicking off at 8:07 tonight our time. It's 7:07 Central Time. But yeah, they'll start their action coming up here in a few, so we'll keep you guys updated on that as long as our broadcast goes on at least. All right, let's take a quick break right now. We'll be back with our final thoughts as we get ready for the second period of action here on WBGU 88.1 FM.
Don't have time to tune into a BGSU sports broadcast? Falcon Media Sports Network will have you covered with live updates of home BGSU athletic events. To follow along, head over to @BG_FMSN on Twitter X.
What if you were wearing something sexy? What if you were drinking? What if you made the first move? No matter what, sexual assault is never your fault. Support is available 24/7 through the National Sexual Assault Hotline. Call 1-800-656-HOPE or visit RAINN.org. That's RAINN.org. This is Christina Ricci with RAINN, reminding you it's never your fault.
Brought to you by RAINN and this station.
What kind of help does the IRS have for identity theft victims?
If you suspect you're a victim of tax-related identity theft, go to irs.gov/identity theft to learn how to prevent potential refund fraud and protect your tax account. At the IRS, combating tax-related identity theft is a top priority, and we are committed to prevention, detection, and assisting victims. And we're working with law enforcement to catch the criminals. For more info, go to irs.gov/identity theft to learn what the IRS is doing to help protect you.
This hour of programming on WBGU is brought to you by the Slater Family Ice Arena, a Bowling Green State University facility supporting Falcon hockey, campus recreation, and public skating activities.
This week's Falcon Media Sports Network Athlete of the Week is women's track and field mid-distance runner Rachel Hoover. The sophomore set BGSU school records in the mile, winning the event in 4 minutes and 40.35 seconds, beating 45 competitors including runners from 5 Big Ten teams. She also won the 800 meter with 2 minutes and 12.64 seconds. Hoover was first team indoor All-MAC and first team outdoor All-MAC in 2025. Hoover cut down her mile time by 10 seconds from her previous PR just 12 days prior. She's taking a big leap in her race now compared to when she was a freshman, head coach Lou Snelling said. This has been Falcon Media Sports Network's Athlete of the Week.
Starting to wrap things up for our first intermission report here on WBGU 88.1 FM. The first intermission report is brought to you by Rick Crow, longtime BGSU hockey fan and listener of Falcon Hockey on WBGU 88.1 FM. So the Falcons, at the end of the first period, now going into the second, tied up 1-1 against the St. Thomas Tommies. Artie and Andrew, some final thoughts as we get ready for the second period of play.
Well, I definitely think it's, like I mentioned, it's going to be very physical in the second period. I mean, what hockey game isn't? But it really feels like this one's getting really chippy between both teams, especially at the end of that first period. So I would definitely be looking at for more big hits or more power play type plays for each team. It's definitely going to be a lot of minutes in the box for each team. But one thing I'll be interested in is just seeing if BG can keep kind of up this attack. They've got 13 shots on goal. St. Thomas only has 7. So let's see if they can keep sort of this aggressive play style they're playing with right now up in the second period.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was just thinking about, how well the Falcons have been doing shooting on the goal. And, as you were just saying, I think they're going to want to continue that trend. And then I think, defensively, they're going to want to also, just stick to their roots, make sure that they're not shredding any assignments.
All right, that's going to wrap things up for our first intermission report here on WBGU 88.1 FM. Time now to send things on back out to the Slater Family Ice Arena with Ben Korak and Kevin Hutchinson. So Ben and Kevin, things getting heated out there before the second period?
Things are getting a little bit heated as we're here in the Slater Family Ice Arena, and as we've mentioned almost every game this season, we'll mention that the Falcons, the only period that they're trailing opponents in goals scored is the second period, 30-26 opponents over the Falcons. Bowling Green leads the first, the third, and overtime, and totals goals scored, and overall 84-63. But it's been this second period that's been the struggle for the Falcons this season, Kevin. They're going to start with 4-on-4 for a minute 10, and then they're going to skate the rest with a 1-1 tie right now against number 15 St. Thomas.
Yeah, and the big inflection point in this game, Sternberg's ejection. We're going to have to see how the Falcons adjust.
Gustav Sternberg now 92 penalty minutes on the season in 18 games played, the previous record in the reformed CCHA since 2021-2022. That was Sam Craggs. He had 80 in 37 games played. Sternberg's done that 19 games less played, and he's got currently 12 more penalty minutes. Down the right wing, Lucas Wallen tries to pull it to the inside. Niedermeyer saw right through it, and he poked the puck away. Still in the Bowling Green end of the ice, now on the right side of your radio dial, the Falcons in the white sweaters, St. Thomas in their purple sweaters, 4-on-4 for the next 30 seconds. 1-1 the tie, the first goal, Brody Waters on the power play. The second goal, Nate Pilling on the 5-minute major to Gustav Sternberg. That's currently still being served out. Here's Morneau, shot, score! Right side, Noah Morneau, 2-1 Falcons.
Absolutely absurd there, just a slap shot by Morneau from decently far out, about halfway between the net and the blue line. Boom. Right past Musser. Incredible play for BG.
9 goals, now the leader on the Falcons in goals after missing a good amount of this 2026 due to an injury in the first game at Ferris State. He missed about 6 games, came back, scored a goal in his game back, first game against Notre Dame, and now has what is the tilting goal toward the Falcons right now in a 4-on-4. Bowling Green forces it ahead, still in the 4-on-4. Gaffney in the corner, spins it back around. A minute expired here in the second period. Noah Morneau, an even strength, unassisted goal as it stands right now. Out of the box comes Brody Waters, so does Lucas Van Vliet, as he took the slashing penalty on a breakaway by Max Martin, who really earned the 4-on-4 that the Falcons just were able to score on. Morneau, a pass through center ice, picked off by Mason Pullman. He gains the entry, ahead with 4 Tommies, and the shot on Cole Moore is saved. He had 1 save going into the last 4 minutes of play in the first period, and then made 6 in a row in the last 4, although he did allow a goal during that time. Carson Musser has also stood on his head, but has allowed 2 in his 12 saves.
Yeah, both these goalies have been put in some tough situations here today, but they've played well despite that. And I said early in the game that it would get more violent as it went on, and that did end up becoming true. We'll probably see more of that.
Puck after the face-off win, dancing on the slot. St. Thomas has to circle around. Cage Sturzer has to poke at his head with his forehand. It's into the corner. Ty Higgins with Nate Pilling to pin it up. Behind the net of Cole Moore. Pilled out. Slap shot. Blocked. Up into the netting. Two defensemen combining for the assists on Noah Morneau. Right now, the tilting goal, 2-1. The Falcons lead. Crampton gains his 12th assist of the season, and Jackson Niedermeyer gains his 9th. Noah Morneau with his 9th goal, now the team leader. Such an impressive player, and just his freshman year as Morneau had a pretty low streak scoring-wise after he missed his before he missed his 5 games due to injury. No points in the 8 games before his injury, but 7 points in the 3 before those 8 games played. The Falcons back in the O zone. McKinley, deep for Waters, wrap around. Oh, what a try by Brody Waters, and he just missed the rack. Looked like it might have kicked off of Musser on his right pad. Good move by Shane, good deflection by McKinley. He broke up the play, the loose puck battle on the boards. The Falcons lift it high, and it's into the ceiling here in the Slater Family Ice Arena, so we'll drop puck back to the left of Cole Moore. That low ceiling for the Falcons coming into play.
Indeed, and I think you are still seeing like a lot of back and forth here between these two teams, but a nice defensive play back there by Breck McKinley to break something up there.
17:30 to go in the second. 2-1, the Falcons lead. Van Vliet, the shot blocked with screeners in front. Karodiak got that block. He was tied with Dalton Norris at 22 blocks. Now he's got 23 with that one there, if it's recorded as such. The team leader now, Gustav Stjernberg, who is not going to play the rest of this game or most likely this weekend. 3 game misconducts, and you have a game suspension from the NCAA, and that's what he'll face most likely this weekend. Cheslock, a deep pass out to the left wing. Sturzer fires it into the corner. It's picked off by the Falcons. Loose puck on the right wing board. Sturzer back there. Now he skates behind the goal. Gets stood up by Karodiak, who is the one that leaves his feet, but he turns the puck over. Good pass up the right side. The pass to Hodson. Oh, over up into the stands. Okay, are the fans? The puck out of play, and the face-off will come into the O zone of the Falcons on that chance from Emerson to Tyler Hodson.
The defense starting to step up and make some plays here for St. Thomas. And we're going to have to see how the Falcon defense adapts, obviously not having Goose in the lineup anymore. Going to have to lean more on some of their other pieces.
Jaden Grant wins it back to Minville, who tries to get it to his D-man, Crampton, but it just squirts past the blue line. And Bowling Green with the puck on the left side. Rihard Simonovic, extra skating defenseman, is going to fill in a pairing for the Falcons, who, again, are out. Gustav Stjernberg, who was playing with Ivan Karodiak. Now it'll be Simonovic's duty to do so. If those are the way the pairings will stay, then certainly the right to change him as Dennis Williams. Quentin Pepper disrupts the puck. The pass out to center, blocked with the shoulder of Nick Williams as he keeps the puck in neutral ice and away from danger. 16 minutes to go in the second period. The Falcons have doubled up in shots on goal and doubled up in goals. 2-1, they lead St. Thomas. First goal by Brody Waters on the power play. Second by Noah Morneau in a 4-on-4 even strength. Assist by Braden Crampton and Jackson Niedermeyer. Icing's going to be called against the Falcons. They'll skate tired. It's Why Not Martin and Jaden Grant. Sorry, it's Minville, Martin, and Jaden Grant, along with Simonovic and Crampton.
And Nick Williams there once again for the Tommies. As you previously said, played for Michigan Tech last season. He leads the team with 47 blocks, which is 12 more than second place. Pretty impressive defensively for him this season.
Also pretty impressive offensively. He scored an assist in each leg of the Michigan Tech series that last weekend, and has scored a point in each game St. Thomas has played against Michigan Tech this season, and Michigan Tech known as one of the better defensive teams in the CCHA, so an impressive mark for the D-man against his former team, where he played for 2 seasons as a Husky under Joe Shawn. The puck on the clearing attempt comes into the stand, so the Falcons will reset play, but they will be able to get a change, and they'll do so for Niedermeyer, McKinley, Duran Waters, and Dominic Ryman. Head coach of St. Thomas, Rico Blasi, in his third season as head coach of St. Thomas. He was previously the head coach of Miami of Ohio. He was so from 1999 to 2019 before he became the head coach of St. Thomas. He had a .311, 196, and 53 record with Miami from 99 to 13. Then in 2013, he changed Miami of Ohio from a CCHA team at the time to an NCHC. That, of course, more like the Western version of college hockey with Denver, Colorado College, Western Michigan, those more out west teams, and some Minnesota teams as well. And since moving to the NCHC, Miami went 87, 115, and 23 under the coaching of Rico Blasi. He's doing the same with St. Thomas. Their last regular season series played against the Falcons is this one before they move to the NCHC next season. Falcons with the puck, center ice, Niedermeyer working in left wing side, poked away. Hand in the air. St. Thomas is going to go on a power play, and a slashing is going to go against the Tommies. Maybe Van Vliet's going to go off again. That's the second slashing penalty of the game for Lucas Van Vliet.
I mean, it's bad enough to commit a penalty once, but the same penalty twice from the same player, certainly not ideal. And Van Vliet, being one of the better offensive players for the Tommies, you're seeing both of these teams sort of deal with a lot of penalties here tonight.
Bowling Green one for, that's a pretty weak slashing call, but he got Niedermeyer across the hands. Falcons on a 5-on-4, 2 power plays so far. They scored on the second one. That one was Brody Waters, the game-opening goal. Now we try here on the third power play for another goal, and a big one it could be for the Falcons. Duran, big slap shot on the one-timer, and he missed wide right. Looked like he beat Carson Musser, but he missed the rack in doing so. Falcons with the puck back in their own end, trying to gain the entry. Again, 10 shorthanded goals this season for St. Thomas. They're a threat offensively on the penalty kill. It's odd to say that, but they are. Switch sides to the right wing. Tyler Hodson takes a tumble as the stick was low. The puck is worked free by Mason Pullman, who doesn't have time to clear it. Now he will. Lucas Wallen will fire it down toward Cole Moore. Going for a change, which is a long one for St. Thomas. They have the farthest bench from their own zone, as do the Falcons, but on the power play, they have the shortest bench. At center ice on the dot, McKinley. A pass out, right wing, gained entry by Braden Crampton. The clearing attempt to the stick of Higgins inside the blue line, but squirted right through the tape. 50 seconds to go on the power play for the Falcons with a 2-1 lead. Morneau trying to sneak behind the defense, but gets some open room for Higgins. He gets in. Higgins with Emerson. Morneau back up blue line, open ice now. Room to work for the Falcons. Dominic Ryman looking in, moves down the left wing. Freshman turns it back out to the blue line. Good stick handling, back up to Higgins. Fellow freshman to Crampton, another freshman. Shot in, screeners in front. Morneau and Emerson, both cleanup artists. And not able to get a shot off. Puck back to the Falcons. Ryman, low angle, fed in toward Musser. Ryman back out, Emerson tipped away on good defense. 15 seconds to go in the man advantage. 13 to go in the second. 2-1 the Falcons lead. Back up, high slot. Ryman the shot, deflected down. Morneau cleared by St. Thomas. And coming out of the box will be Van Vliet. A successful penalty kill for St. Thomas. They're 2 for 3 on those tries today, but still a 2-1 lead for the Falcons here in the second. Trying to split the defenders, Jake Sloan, he's bumped, and no penalty on that breakaway. There's been 2 breakaways for St. Thomas, against St. Thomas, and one of them has resulted in a penalty. That was Max Martin and Van Vliet's slashing in the first period. Levis tipped it ahead, touched by Nick Williams, back in his own end. Fired out to center ice. Turnover at the blue line by Lucas Wallen, who goes for a check to Wynot, who takes a tumble into his own bench. Now outlet, St. Thomas, if they get the numbers right, will have a breakaway, but they can't do it. O'Neal, a high pass that's peeled down off the glass by Moore, and Bowling Green will push it up. Wynot onsides down the right wing. pass up to the blue line. Korodiak holds it inside the offensive zone for the Falcons. High slot tipped ahead. Korodiak still able to hold it in. Sloan with Why Not going to the bench. Minville will go on the fourth check. Emerson off. Puck caroms over to Cole Moore from the other end of the ice, and he'll cover it up. 11:37 to go in the second. And a 2-1 Falcon lead off of Noah Morneau. 9th goal of the season, and a big one as it stands right now.
Bit of an oddly timed change there. You saw Minville coming in for Sloan, but the puck was near Sloan, and so during that change when Minville comes in, St. Thomas gets possession of the puck again. You heard some fans kind of shouting out about that. Just a bit of a miscue there.
Back up at the blue line, St. Thomas, the pass is off of the Falcons' stick. That was Max Martin that deflected it off of Van Vliet, and it's up into the crowd, and we'll get another faceoff coming to the right of Cole Moore. Lucas Van Vliet did not score last game versus Michigan Tech, which broke an 8-game point streak, 4 goals and 11 assists in his last 9 games, and again, that is including an 8-game point streak in the last game where he was scoreless. He's an impressive player, and a young one at that, just a freshman. 11 goals, 20 assists, 21 points, 31 points this season for Lucas Van Vliet, tied with Lucas Wallen coming into the game for the team lead in total points in just his rookie season. Very influential players.
For sure, there's sort of the 1-2 punch for that St. Thomas team. And you see a bit of jawing there near the Bowling Green net between BG and St. Thomas there for a second. Tension's definitely running high about halfway through the game now.
Face-off won by the Falcons. That's their 15th of the game to only 9 for St. Thomas. Bowling Green, the only team coming into today in the CCHA with a winning face-off percentage. Couple of teams at 49.9%, which is pretty much right there, but Bowling Green way above that 50% mark as they have for 4 years in a row now. They're so good in the dots, are Bowling Green, and part of the reason that they get such a high percentage of the possession.
And that is sort of a crucial stat, maybe an overlooked stat, face-off wins. If you can consistently be above that 50% mark, that's going to put you in a much better position when you play.
Duran for the draw. The Falcons win it. Duran in the corner now. He goes for the puck. Ryman to clear it back to Duran. He's on the right wing boards, and it's taken away by St. Thomas. They have a 3-on-2 against the Falcons. It's Leyland in toward Godbout, who's decked. Wrist shot missed wide left of Cole Moore. He let it fly by his right arm. Korodiak stops it behind the goal. Godbout goes to return the favor to Korodiak, but not too much there for Godbout. Standing at 5'11", Ivan Korodiak at a good 6'3". Cole Miller, the defenseman up the right wing. On the smaller end of defensemen are Cole Miller, but a solid scorer and a very unselfish player. As there's an icing against Bowling Green, it'll come back down.
Currently 10:36 here left in the second period. BG with 15 shots on goal, St. Thomas with 9. It'll be interesting to see how aggressive the Tommies get here moving forward.
Lucas Wallen in for the faceoff, a decent faceoff man, known more for his scoring, of course. The shot in by Gaffney, saved by Wallen. Wallen and Gaffney, the two biggest point streaks on this Tommy team. Wallen's is currently at 12 games, and Gaffney at about 8. Nathan Pilling also with a 10-game point streak. Sorry, Gaffney's is 4 games. Nate Pilling's is at 10, and that's 3 players that are high scores for the Tommies and some of the best scores in the CCHA as well. St. Thomas has 4 of the top 10 goal scorers in conference play. Back up to the blue line, turnover. Pilling with the shot. He missed wide right. He has 1 today on the power play, looking for his second. Hundley holds it in the blue line. Shot in by Gaffney off the stick of the Falcon in the corner. Bowling Green with an outlet pass ahead to Hodson, who tips it ahead. Bowling Green will go for a change. Morneau to the bench will play the puck. Now skate off. Force the defenseman to give it up to the left side. Moving through the middle, Van Vliet working in tight with Cole Moore, who kicks it away with his stick out to the left wing boards. Crampton off the glass to Simonovic, his defensive partner. Hundley is able to hold it in. The rink-around pass is picked off by Bowling Green up to center ice. Jaden Grant. 3 goals the first 4 games of 2026. Now he gives it up. Minville shot. Big block on a full sell by Hundley. One of the leaders in blocks for the St. Thomas team. A big block there on a chance for Minville. Back on the boards, left wing side of the O-zone. The Falcons in it. Higgins. Down back to Minville, south of the red line. Now back up to Higgins' blue line. Higgins fires it in. Slot deflected in front. Max Martin backhand chance. Now a forehand chance there from Minville. Puck dancing on the doorstep. Carried away by Wallen, the captain. Wallen is hit in front of his own bench by Martin, who skates away from what was going to be a retaliating St. Thomas bench. We're going to get an interference, maybe against Max Martin in the bench. The puck was there as he was finishing his check, but he'll have to go to the box as we have a media timeout as well. Head coach Dennis Williams not happy. The Falcons will serve a 2-minute penalty kill, courtesy of Max Martin's hit on Lucas Wallen. This timeout brought to you by Juniper Brewing Company, located at 145 South Main Street in downtown Bowling Green, featuring coffee and craft beer and serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. See the latest menu at juniperbrew.com. Falcon Hockey here on WBGU 88.1 FM.
Wake up and get going with the music you know and love on Northwest Ohio's community radio station. Early Bird Oldies broadcasts weekdays from 4 to 6 a.m. and plays all the tunes you remember. Find WBGU on the bottom of the dial on 88.1 FM or streaming worldwide on bgfalconmedia.com. Early Bird Oldies will put a smile on your face and make you tap your feet. And it's only on WBGU Northwest Ohio's community radio station.
Unlike other local sources, Falcon Media Sports Network and BG Falcon Media will never charge a paywall to view our content. However, if you are looking to support student media, you can donate at the bottom of our stories on bgfalconmedia.com.
Check out the Zig Zone Sundays from 4 to 6 p.m. here on WBGU 88.1 FM.
Van Vliet in for the draw, the extra skater for St. Thomas. Not the extra skater, but the extra man. They have a 5-on-4 for this power play and a penalty against Max Martin that was a bit questionable. Head coach Dennis Williams didn't like it, as he's pretty much okay with a lot of calls that are made here, especially in the Slater Family Ice Arena, but overall he likes to focus on how his guys are playing the game, but not too happy with that call. Max Martin with the hit on Lucas Wallen in front of the St. Thomas bench. The puck was away, but he was finishing his check, would argue Willie. But nevertheless, the Falcons on a penalty kill. They're 1 for 2 on their penalty kills. 1 for 2 on their penalty kills so far. This is their third. And they'll try and kill off the Tommies, who have the 4th best power play in the CCHA. Cheslock with it through his own end. He's going to get a drop pass back to Van Vliet. Well skating freshman. He moves it through the blue line and out to the right wing. Misses Dylan Shane. Into the corner, clearing attempt by the Falcons. Cheslock struggles to hold the puck inside the blue line. That's about 3 times we've seen the alternate captain not be able to do that. Almost a turnover. Quinn Emerson with a pretty powerful forecheck there. Almost caught the body of Cheslock, but went for the puck smartly on the penalty kill. Gains the entry down the left wing. Gaffney working in and a save made. Cole Moore cleared down the Falcons over toward Carson Musser, and he'll stop it in his crease. 1:05 to go in the power play. 7:30 to go in the second period. 2-1 the Falcons lead. Goals by Brody Waters, Noah Morneau, and St. Thomas in between those with a power play goal off Nate Pilling. On the half wall, Connor Levis, the freshman penalty killer, back up blue line as he lost the puck. Nick Williams gives it down to the left wing side. Ryan O'Neill fans on his pass. Horse back down toward the goal line. Back up Nick Williams. Gives it up. Slap shot. Pilling scores! Right side. Same spot. Second goal of the game for Nate Pilling.
Yeah, he was just right there near the dot. Just fired it right in. Great slap shot for Pilling. Good night for him. 2 goals now, and it's all even. 2-2, 7:09 left in the second period. We've seen this twice now where the Falcons get a 1-goal lead. and the Tommies are able to draw it even.
2 goals in the second period, one by each team, one on the power play. Nathan Pilling has 2 power play goals, and the only 2 goals for St. Thomas today. That one assisted by Nick Williams and Lucas Wallen. That's Wallen's second assist of the day as well. Falcons back in their own end. Max Martin off of the questionable call. St. Thomas with the turnover. They try and wrap it in toward Cole Moore. It's taken away by the Falcons. Ryman up the right wing side. He's got speed down the right wing. Defended by Cole Miller. He spins it around. Backhand pass down to Brody Waters behind the cage. Centering it, but doesn't land to Duran. Waters takes the man down. Does so with the puck at his feet, so avoiding the penalty there. And laying on the puck was the Tommy. So the whistle play dead, and they'll have a face-off next to Carson Musser for St. Thomas. Tie game 2-2 between the Falcons and the Tommies.
There was another angle of that goal that just came on our screen here. It looked like Cole Moore kind of lurched toward his left, and the puck came in to his right. He sort of left a hole open there at the middle of the net. Usually you don't manage to misdirect Cole Moore like that, but he just wasn't in the right spot.
6:40 to go in the second period. That goal at the 12:51 mark just a bit ago, and the second period tied 1-1, as was the first period, tied 1-1, and penalties have played a factor into this game, certainly. The 5-minute major to Gustav Stjernberg. He's off the ice now, so no penalty killer there for the Falcons on the defensive end, but even more so than that, St. Thomas is able to score a goal on that power play, and now the penalty to Max Martin. St. Thomas also able to score a goal on that. They're 2 for 3 on their power plays today. Neutral ice, Higgins after the drop pass, he'll have to go and collect. He does so with Emerson on the right wing boards, who's the outlet for him. Emerson pokes it ahead to center ice. Turnover center ice. Karodiak puts a check on Sturzer, who talks to Karodiak on his way over to the bench, and I'm sure not nice things to say from Cage Sturzer. Out to the neutral zone. Van Vliet to Godbout, who forces it in. Niedermeyer takes a check around his hips. Bowling Green, a bank pass up. Martin tips it ahead. Chased by Jaden Grant. He taps his stick on the ice, and Musser chooses the right side. Here's Ryan O'Neill down the right wing. He's got space. Passes it into the slot. Cleared away by the Falcons. Good defensive recovery for the loose puck that was bounding toward the slot area with a couple of purple jerseys standing there. The Falcons push it ahead, out to neutral ice, and then down in the St. Thomas end. Shots on goal have narrowed up to a 4-shot on goal lead for Bowling Green, and the penalty a big reason because of that. Again, both goals for St. Thomas today are on the power play. Only one for the Falcons, but it's tied 2-2. 5 minutes to go in the second period with the 2-2 tie. Crampton gains the entry, stays at the blue line, lets Pullman chase. Cole Miller back up blue line. Simonovic holds it in as he backskated. Tipped away for Levis. Levis open ice, back up blue line. Crampton on the right side. Down behind the net and back up blue line again. Bowling Green cycling the puck. Simonovic the shot in. Up high was the stick. And we're going to get a penalty against St. Thomas. That's a routine call against the Tommies. A high sticking against Charlie Shane.
Yeah, pretty obvious call there. Not much you can really debate. Just no reason for the hit to be that high.
Yeah, high sticking is in fact the call. Yeah, his stick way up in the air and caught Braden Crampton up at around the teeth. And that's why hockey teeth are few and far between. Luckily, the cage in college hockey.
Indeed, you actually saw the helmet slide up a bit to where his chin was exposed due to the power of the hit.
So now big power play for the Falcons. They're 1 for 4 on power play opportunities today. Braden Crampton back in his own end. 4:30 to go in the second period. Through the neutral zone comes Dom Ryman into the corner. Avoids a check from Cheslock. Gaffney to clear, but he's defended in the offensive zone by Morneau. Emerson back up to Higgins, who gives it up to his freshman D partner, Braden Crampton. Emerson high slot, wrist shot over toward Musser. He lets it fly by his left pad. Crampton the shot in. Oh, deflected there, Morneau. A good try. The clearing attempt blocked by his teammate, Lucas Wallen. The defenseman was Cheslock. He goes for a high hit on Crampton. Bowling Green still able to hold it inside the blue line, which is key against St. Thomas, not allowing turnovers without an entry. Shot in again from Crampton is saved. Higgins back up blue line, switches spots with Crampton, gives it up. Crampton feeds it into the slot. Tried to find Ryman on the backside, through Emerson, but couldn't land either of them. Higgins the shot in, missed wide left. Off the glass, as you heard, Crampton down south of the red line. Morneau with the puck. His shot blocked by Cheslock with the stick. Behind the net again to Ryman. Back up blue line. Both teams skating a bit tired now, neither of them going for a change. The Falcons have the short one when they want it. 35 seconds, shot in, deflected Morneau. He wraps it around the other side. Back up, glove dropped, in tight with Musser. It's down behind the net. Bowling Green will get a couple of guys a change. Clearing attempt will get it. Cole Moore plays the puck, looks to force it ahead, but didn't have the wherewithal to do it. 2:50 to go in the second, 15 seconds in the power play for Bowling Green. Bank pass up, neutral ice, Pilling with it. Cole Miller forces it ahead down to Cole Moore in the net for the Falcons. Pilling will come up with the puck. Back up to the blue line, held in by Godbout. Shot in, routine save. Cole Moore is coming out of the box with Shane, and another penalty kill for St. Thomas.
Yeah, and I think it's not really an exaggeration to say that Cheslock has been something of a defensive game wrecker here. He's had multiple blocks in this game, sort of been the anchor of that Tommy defense, and the Falcons did a good job keeping the puck in the St. Thomas O zone during most of that power play, but Cheslock was always there, shutting down whatever the Falcons were trying to do.
In the face-off circle to the left of Cole Moore, back up to even strength. It's Luke Leyland against Jaden Grant. Leyland's kicked out. Quentin Pepper has to step in. He can play center. Quentin Pepper has. He's a big body, 6'3". Has done so against the Falcons a couple of times, and he's had relatively good success against Bowling Green. 4 points at BG in 2023-24 season. A game-winning goal with 3 minutes left to go in one of those games, and an assist in 6 other series against BG. So in that one series in 2023-24, he had 4 points and just 1 in 12 other games played against the Falcons. Luke Leyland in for the draw. Bowling Green wins it. Up the left wing comes Jeremy Minville. His pass up to the right wing side. Martin doesn't land to him in neutral ice, and no entry from the Falcons. Down the left wing, Quentin Pepper will get to the puck first. McKinley defends him, slaps at the puck, turns it over. Checked down to the ice was Jackson Niedermeyer, who's a bit slow to get up, but he does. And he skates off to the bench. Musser stops the puck. Martin goes in for a check. Minute 50 to go in the second period. 2-2 the score between Bowling Green and St. Thomas. Game 1 of a 2-game series between number 15 St. Thomas and Bowling Green, who's received votes to the NCAA rankings for the last 5 weeks. Since they beat Ohio State, pretty much, the Falcons have been among ranked conversations, and wins against these ranked teams are much needed for Bowling Green if you want to be ranked. CCHA looking for their first at-large bid, and who knows how long. Normally it just ends up being the Mason Cup champion. Of course, Mason Cup, the CCHA playoff. The McNaughton Cup champion has won the CCHA playoff last year. That was Minnesota State, won both. The year before, Minnesota State won the McNaughton, I believe, and Michigan Tech won the Mason Cup. Higgins, he pushes it ahead on a bank pass. Center ice, the Falcons couldn't come up with it. St. Thomas has done a better job of making sure they're holding on to the puck more. They've done so well in the second period as Sturzer has it toward the goal line. He works it to the slot. Save made. Cole Moore dropped down in front of him. He looks to cover it up. Puck still loose apparently, and now it's whistled dead in front of Moore, who's fully chest and face down in the blue paint. 2-2 still the score. 1:06 to go in the second period.
Just another physical play in what's been a very gritty game throughout these first 2 periods here.
Falcons and Tommies will be talked about in our Mardi Gras second intermission report, and that led by Nate, Artie, and Andrew back in the cooling Center studios. They'll talk you through what's going on in the CCHA and around Bowling Green athletics and here in the Slater Family Ice Arena today and tomorrow. Bowling Green wins yet another face-off out to the blue line, but then quickly turned over. Lucas Wallen the shot, screened in front. Another shot is over the head of Cole Moore. Back up, blue line. Williams gives it up to the left side. Shot in, Gaffney. Backdoor was Williams. He crosses it in front to the slot, Ryan O'Neill. Big drive here for the Tommies. Drop down doorstep again, and again shut down by Cole Moore. That was a bad defensive set for Bowling Green, who was just trying to get the puck back and clear. 45 seconds left to go in the second, and that could have been a big goal in the waning moments.
For sure, there was a moment there where the Falcons left a huge gap open on the left side of the net. It was mostly just the lack of awareness by the Tommies that kept that from being a goal. There is a change here, though, for BG, so maybe that'll change things here.
And for another draw in Bowling Green zone, St. Thomas within one in shots on goal now. The second half of the second period, they've dominated it, just as the Falcons did so well in the first half of the second period. Within the first minute, Noah Morneau, his 9th goal of the season. He brought it to a 2-1 game, and then on the power play, Nathan Pilling with his 14th goal of the season on the power play. Now some dancing going on in front of the blue paint. It looks like maybe nothing going to come with it. Still some pushing and some shoving, and on night one, that doesn't bode well for what's going to go on the rest of this series. They've already seen Gustav Stjernberg ejected from this game. A big hit on Jake Bersini, who we have not seen since that hit. He, I've been told, wrecked his cage a little bit on the hit. That was contact to the head from Stjernberg. And most likely had some stitches and possibly a broken nose. Is out for the rest of this game, I'm assuming. And Stjernberg obviously is probably going to serve a suspension tomorrow with his 3rd major penalty and game misconduct of the season.
Yeah, just a huge inflection point in this whole series, changing the landscape.
Slap shot, Gaffney just saved by Cole Moore. Trying to clean up the rebound was O'Neill, but it's whistled dead again.
Gaffney's been great for St. Thomas this year. He previously played for Harvard, and he leads the team with 33 points. Pretty balanced. Had 16 goals and 17 assists coming into this game, so he is a big piece of their offensive attack.
Played only 4 games last season, did Alex Gaffney for the Crimson of Harvard. 101 games total for Harvard, though, and his best season was just 7 goals, 9 assists, and 16 points in 2022-23, and he has surpassed that pretty well this season. His 33 points, team leading for the grad student. Icing against the Falcons, 24 seconds to go in the second, and this back half of the second period is going to be analyzed, I'm sure, to death by head coach Dennis Williams in the locker room and with his coaches. Has been a pretty poor end of this period. St. Thomas now ahead in shots on goal with 19, and the puck really hasn't left the orange and brown end of the ice for quite a while.
Definitely some more aggressiveness from St. Thomas lately.
Up to the neutral zone, which is positive for the Falcons. Wallen pushes it in toward Cole Moore, who makes a right-hand save with the blocker. Up to Niedermeyer. Niedermeyer up to center ice. Jaden Grant now. Bowling Green back in the O zone, where they've lived for a little bit in the second period and were able to score a goal from there as well. A shot across the slot. Time expires in the second period as Carson Musser shrugs it aside. We've had 1-1 through 1 period of play. We have 2-2 through 2 periods of play. And a tie game between the number 1 team in the CCHA and the number 5 team in the CCHA. Bowling Green and St. Thomas here in the Slater Family Ice Arena. The Marta Crow second intermission report coming up. You're listening to Falcon Hockey on WBGU 88.1 FM.
Talking to your kids about the dangers of vaping can be hard. Getting them to listen to hot gossip is easy. So here's some drama you could share with your kid. Dude, did you hear about Cassie and Jake? No, but did you hear that vaping can cause irreversible lung damage and nicotine affects brain development? Nuh-uh. You don't need to gossip if you want to have an open conversation about vaping. So if you want to get tips on when and how to talk to your kids, visit talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association.
Bowling Green women's basketball faces Coastal Carolina in the second leg of the MAC Sunbelt Challenge at the Stroh Center on Saturday, February 7th. Falcon Media Sports Network's Artie Abrego, Sam Bork, and Tyler Kavelitz have a pregame show at 1:35 p.m. before Adam Duffin and Trey Kennedy call the contest at 2 p.m. on WBGU 88.1 FM, your home for Falcon women's basketball.
The BGSU women's swim and dive team capped off their historic regular season on January 31st with a commanding 227-124 victory over rival Toledo in the Battle of I-75. The win marked their first triumph over the Rockets since 2022 and served as a fitting finale to a remarkable regular season. The Falcons finished with an impressive 13-3 overall record, including a 3-1 mark in conference competition and a dominant 5-0 record at home. Their blazing 12-0 start to the season set the tone for the year, standing as the program's best opening and most successful regular season in nearly 5 decades. The Falcons now prepare for the MAC Championship in Akron, Ohio from February 25th to February 28th, seeking their first MAC Championship since 1981. This has been 60 Seconds in Falcon Athletics.
Millions of people all over the world go hungry, while we waste our land and water resources. Did you know that raising animals for human consumption uses 8 times as much water as growing fruits, vegetables, and grains? And that the same amount of land can produce 17 times more soybean protein than meat protein? For great vegetarian recipes, write People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. That's PETA, Norfolk, Virginia, 23510. Thanks.
Looking for a BGSU Athletics talk radio show? Tune into the Zig Zone every Sunday at 4 p.m., where a panel of Falcon Media Sports Network members discuss the hottest BG sports topics. Only on WBGU 88.1 FM.
Welcome to the Falcon Media Sports Network Second Intermission Report. The Second Intermission Report is brought to you in memory of Marta Crow, and Falcon hockey fanatics, and avid Falcon hockey on WBGU 88.1 FM listener. All right, Nate Henner's joined here in the WBGU 88.1 FM studio by Artie Abrego and Artie. Wow, I cannot talk.
Audi Abrego?
Audi? Is that
Artie
what you said?
Abrego.
Okay, there we go.
And Andrew Helkowski. Here at the end of the second, going into the third, or getting ready to go into the third, Falcons and Tommies tied once again, this time 2-2. So, Andrew and Artie, let's start off with you, Andrew. Okay. What happened in that second period to get us tied up once again?
All right, well, immediately we saw some excitement from the Falcons. You know, they scored in less than a minute. Noah Morneau off of an even-strength goal. He was assisted by Braden Crampton and by Tyler Hodson. Once again, that is Hodson's second goal assist on the game. And then after about, 11-ish minutes with not really a whole lot happening, St. Thomas comes in and responds. You know, Nathan Pilling, again, he gets his second goal. That was off of a power play. So, yet again, the Falcons seeing some issues with penalties. He was assisted by Nick Williams and Lucas Whalen.
All right, coming up, we'll talk about how, things can go in this third period. We'll also have later on our Player of the Game watch discussion will continue, and we'll get an update on scores going on around the CCHA. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Second Intermission Report on WBGU 88.1 FM.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, can potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by
the IRS is urging people to beware of ads that promise big money by claiming the Employee Retention Tax Credit. This is a real tax credit that helps businesses that were affected by the pandemic, but scammers are telling people they qualify when they don't. The scammer takes a fee and your personal information. If you're not eligible for the credit, getting conned by this could cost you a lot. The IRS doesn't want that to happen to you, so check the official information at irs.gov/ERC.
After breaking multiple program records at the Mayo Invitational, BGSU Women's Track and Field is back in action for the first day of the Doug Raymond Invitational in Kent, Ohio on Friday, February 6th. Head over to bgfalconmedia.com for the recap and results of the first day of the event by Falcon Media Sports Network's Holden Rugg.
Welcome back to the second intermission report here on WBGU 88.1 FM, brought to you in memory of Marta Crow, Falcon hockey fanatic and avid Falcon hockey on WBGU 88.1 FM listener. As you heard just there in that commercial or that promo break there, we have a lot of coverage going on bgfalconmedia.com right now because there's a lot more than hockey going on around Falcon athletics. The softball is back. Gymnastics competed today, actually tonight. They're competing right now. And then women's basketball plays tomorrow. Hockey plays, of course, once again tomorrow. Both those games will be here on WBGU. And then, men's basketball is over in Arkansas, so we'll have a preview and recap on bgfalconmedia.com. So, you can check out bgfalconmedia.com for all that great stuff, as well as women's basketball and hockey here on the radio. Anyways, let's get back to the hockey game we have going on right now. The Bowling Green Falcons and St. Thomas Tommies tied up 2-2 here at the end of the second period. So Artie and Andrew, looking ahead now to the third, what were some things you guys saw in that second period that you guys liked that could maybe make a difference in that third period?
Well, one thing right off the bat is how quick the Falcons scored in that second period. I mean, just a minute in, Noah Monroe gets this goal on even strength, and we know the Falcons, they love to attack right out of the opening gate during those opening minutes. Head coach Dennis Williams, he loves being aggressive, so I wouldn't be surprised if we get another early one to go quickly for the Falcons because they're so good out of attacking out of these 15-minute breaks between the periods. And for the Tommies, Nathan Pillen, he's got 2 so far. I wouldn't be shocked if he gets another one if they keep the Tommies keep leaning on him.
Cole Moore has been playing exceptionally well. He had 12 saves in that second period alone, which brings him to 18 on the whole game. Now, I know he did allow 2 goals, but that's what happens in hockey. And 12 saves in one period, that's fantastic performance by him. So really that defense has stepped up quite a bit. Only allowing 1 goal in a period, that's a pretty good spot to be in. I think looking ahead into the third period here, I think they're going to want to, obviously not let them score again. But I think we've seen some pretty significant defensive improvements here in that second period.
Between Mooser and Moore, they have 35 total saves. I mean, both goalies have played really good so far protecting that net. It's just a matter of that both attacking for the teams and this attacking the net. They've just been so strong today, especially in that second period. I mean, 13 shots on goal, 6 shots on goal for the Falcons. So the Falcons attack was a little bit less in that second period. So you want to see it pick up a little more in the third. But the Tommies were way more aggressive than they were in the second. So both teams kind of flipped from those perspectives. So it'd be interesting to me to see what kind of attack both teams open up with in the third period.
All right, coming up, we will have our Falcon Media Sports Network Player of the Game watch discussion. We'll also get an update on those scores going on around the CCHA. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the second intermission report here on WBGU 88.1 FM.
If you're a veteran looking to file for your service-connected benefits through the Department of Veterans Affairs, don't go it alone. AMVET's highly trained service officers stand ready to walk you through the process at VA regional offices around the country, helping you to navigate the complex VA system free of charge. With new presumptions for Agent Orange exposure and other conditions, AMVETS can offer you the advice you need to finally receive all of your earned benefits. In 2009 alone, AMVETS helped process more than 65,000 claims and appeals, securing more than $410 million in benefits. To find your nearest AMVET service officer or to learn more, visit amvets.org.
Before I came to Alcoholics Anonymous, I thought all the people that I knew who didn't drink were self-righteous people, holier than thou. So it never occurred to me that Alcoholics Anonymous was filled with people who had drank like I did, and now were the same people that I used to drink with. The same people that I liked, only now they weren't drinking. They were people just like me who had been drinking for a long time and found out that it didn't work for them anymore.
Visit AA.org for more information and download the Meeting Guide app to find a meeting near you.
BGSU women's basketball takes the court at the Stroh Center to face Buffalo on Tuesday, February 10th at 7 p.m. Falcon Media Sports Network's Adam Duffin and Dawson Pelter will have the call of the matchup, with Nate Hanners, Noah Seeley, Kevin Hutchinson, and Jay Kopass providing the pregame, halftime, and postgame shows beginning at 6:35 p.m. Make sure to listen to it all on WBGU 88.1 FM, your home of BG women's basketball.
And welcome back to the second intermission report here on WBGU 88.1 FM. Falling out of our chairs with excitement here with the Bowling Green Falcons and St. Thomas Tommies tied up 2-2 here at the end of the second period. The second intermission report is brought to you in memory of Marta Crow, Falcon hockey fanatic and avid Falcon hockey on WBGU 88.1 FM listener. So Artie and Andrew, again to our Falcon Media Sports Network Player of the Game watch discussion. Some players you guys are continuing to watch from that the first and second period who could really make a difference in that third and maybe end up as our Player of the Game.
For me, it's going to be Noah Morneau for the Falcons. You know, obviously he's got that goal. He's taken 6 shots, 3 of them on goal. He's also won 7 face-offs. So, you know, those are all categories that you want to see high numbers in, and he's been executing in each one of those categories. He's really been exceptional tonight.
And on the other side of the ice for the Tommies, I mean, for Nathan Pillen, he scored 2 goals. He's really kept his team in it. He's scored both goals for the Tommies. So you got to look at him at least on the Tommy side, for the Player of the Game watch. And for the Falcons, obviously, a lot of people contributing. Again, Tyler Hudson, he's got 2 assists as well. So. And then, of course, Brody Waters also has a goal. So, I mean, those are both all players to kind of watch from each side. But it's definitely going to be a tough third period. I mean, I think we'll definitely see one stand above all the rest by the time their time on the ice is done.
All right, taking a look at what's coming up around the CCHA, or I guess I should say going on around the CCHA right now. For the game we've been watching throughout our matchup, we have Augustana at Michigan Tech. That one up right now 2-1 with Augustana leading. That one in the third period, 13-16 left in that. So we should definitely have a final score on that by the time we get into our post-game show here this evening. Another game just getting underway, actually probably getting underway about an hour ago now, but the matchup between Ferris State and Bemidji State. Ferris State now up 2-1. They just wrapped up their first period there in Bemidji, Minnesota. So, there you go. That's a look at what's going on around the CCHA this evening. Coming up, we will have our final thoughts as we get you ready for the third and final period of action here this evening. Keep it here. You're listening to WBGU FM in Bowling Green.
Millions of people all over the world go hungry while we waste our land and water resources. Did you know that raising animals for human consumption uses 8 times as much water as growing fruits, vegetables, and grains? And that the same amount of land can produce 17 times more soybean protein than meat protein? For great vegetarian recipes, write People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. That's PETA, Norfolk, Virginia, 23510. Thanks.
The BGSU women's swim and dive team capped off their historic regular season on January 31st with a commanding 227-124 victory over rival Toledo in the Battle of I-75. The win marked their first triumph over the Rockets since 2022 and served as a fitting finale to a remarkable regular season. The Falcons finished with an impressive 13-3 overall record, including a 3-1 mark in conference competition and a dominant 5-0 record at home. Their blazing 12-0 start to the season set the tone for the year, standing as the program's best opening and most successful regular season in nearly 5 decades. The Falcons now prepare for the MAC Championship in Akron, Ohio from February 25th to February 28th, seeking their first MAC Championship since 1981. This has been 60 Seconds in Falcon Athletics.
Starting to wrap things up now for our Falcon Media Sports Network second intermission report. Excuse me, getting ready to take another break here. But Artie and Andrew, some your final thoughts heading into our third period of play.
Well, I mean, you did just fall out of a chair, so maybe you're just a little bit
I was better
discombobulated,
Discombobulated, yeah. I mean, you went through some trauma there when we were off the air, Nate, so don't worry. But, I mean, you asked our thoughts on the
Severely injured, right?
On the third period, but I could see this one going the same way as the Notre Dame games went. I mean, it just feels similar. I mean, both teams are kind of locked in a stalemate. It feels like this third period, I could see both teams getting a goal, and we go to extra minutes once again. But it's definitely going to be a tough contest heading through this.
Yeah, I mean, this game really reminds me of a chess match, just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and, just kind of stuck in this kind of same position.
All right, thanks, guys. That's going to wrap things up for our second intermission report. We'll be back with you guys for the post-match show. Time now to hand things on back out to Ben Korak and Kevin Hutchinson over at the Slater Family Ice Arena. Got kind of an interesting rivalry going on there tonight.
Certainly interesting, but more interesting, Nate, is how you managed to fall out of a chair. That's a little bit confusing to me as we start this third period here in the Slater Family Ice Arena. Nate Hinters and Artie Abrego and Andrew Halkowski, you'll hear from them at the post-game show, and Nate continuing to prove why you should put your children in sports at a young age. A lot of children in here in the Slater Family Ice Arena.
That's
3,167 people here in the Slate watching a 2-2 tie through 2 periods of action. We start the third with 5-on-5 between Bowling Green and St. Thomas, and the draw 1 back for the Tommies. 2 goals in the first period, one by each team. Brody Waters and Nathan Pilling, both on the power play in the last half of the first period. And then the second period, tale of 2 halves. The first half dominated by Bowling Green, and a goal in the first minute by Noah Morneau. Even strength, the only even strength goal of the game, because 13 minutes into the second period, Nathan Pilling, his second power play goal of the game, and he tied it up at 2-2, and now we have even ice. 5 seconds expired in the third, and a redrop on the center dot. Face-off, 50-50. St. Thomas comes up with it back in their own end, and they play it ahead out to neutral ice again. The Falcons skating without Stjernberg. Ryan O'Neill, the shot over the head of Cole Moore as he worked in a 2-on-1. Didn't even look for the pass, though. And now this one's picked away by Ty Higgins. Higgins with the forehand up to center ice. Couldn't force it past the Tommies. Now on the left wing, Gaffney. Gaffney gives it back up wall and shot. Missed. Cole Moore wide right. Just missed the wide right iron of the pipe. Lucky couple of breaks there for the Falcons. St. Thomas leads in shots on goal now 20-19 as Falcons led in shots on goal 18-12 at one point. There's a pretty solid lead, and then as we mentioned, the last half of that second period, Kevin, was one to forget if you're Bowling Green.
Yeah, we saw a big momentum shift. 13 shots on goal for the Tommies in the second period, just 6 for BG.
Sturzer kind of lost the puck there as he was collapsing in toward Cole Moore. Nick Williams on the boards in the left wing. His puck is poked away by Emerson. Deeper for Sturzer. Tries to clear it to the slot, and the Falcons come away with the puck. Emerson out to neutral ice. Van Vliet out there as well. St. Thomas caught their stride in the middle of that second period and really haven't given up much ground since. Simonovic fakes going behind his net, beats Wallen, and now the Falcons up. Max Martin, the shot in, a slap shot toward Carson Musser, who has to make a save. That's his 18th of the game. 2 goals allowed and a .900 save percentage for the sophomore goaltender. And we'll get an offensive zone face-off. And they got to live in this offensive zone, Kevin, especially since St. Thomas is such a dangerous scoring team. You want to keep them out of your own zone as much as you can.
Definitely keep them on their heels. Make them adjust to what you're trying to do and not the other way around.
Back up at the blue line, the D-to-D pass. Simonovic had to break back toward his own zone as Charlie Shane was working in. Godbout the shot in. He's got it behind the net again. Simonovic takes him out of the play. Shane, the centering pass. Grant pins it up. Such a good defensive player is Jaden Grant, and the only real designated leader the Falcons have out on the ice. Dalton Norris injured for quite a while. We're hoping he can get back before the start of CCHA playoffs. And also Gustav Stjernberg with his hit in the first period. A game misconduct, and he's out of the ice for the time being. Niedermeyer's stick being held onto by Wallen as Niedermeyer completes his check on the fellow senior. Lifting it over the defender's stick is Martin, and he goes off to the bench. The Falcons in the O zone. Sloan at the high slot. The loose puck is tipped away by St. Thomas away from Sloan. And an icing is going to be whistled against St. Thomas with Attila Lapai on the chase.
Yeah, you're talking about Dalton Norris being injured and Stjernberg serving this suspension here for the rest of the weekend. Not a good time to be depleted if you're the Falcons down the stretch here. This is their second to last home series. You're kind of trying to surge into the playoffs, get favorable seeding. Not a good time to be without your best players.
Quick shot by Dom Ryman after a face-off win. Karam's into the corner. Karodiak down into that corner as the puck was out to the blue line. Hill takes steps in, the sophomore defenseman who joined the Falcons December of last season and has played pretty solid ever since. Pass to the slot, Waters to Duran, the feed in toward Musser, and he's able to make a save. The pass to Duran was good. It was just a little bit too tight and a not great angle for Duran to work against Musser. We're going to get a hand pass against Bowling Green, and the face-off will be in the neutral zone.
Yeah, that was a golden chance for the Falcons there. Just wasn't, as you said, not really the right angle. Ended up being wide past the net.
Looked like he made a good move on Musser, too. He just couldn't tuck it around the right leg, and Musser was on the left pipe. Morneau wins the face-off back. The freshman, which is something you really can't depend on freshmen too much, is winning face-offs, but he has been fantastic this season. Morneau has. He's 9-3 today in the face-off circles, and overall positive on the season as just a rookie. Some of the work of assistant coach Jacob Pritchard, one of the skill guys that was a centerman for UMass back in the day on some very good UMass teams. Ryan O'Neal, his shot, big one, and he missed the cage. Checked up high is Lucas Wallen. The Falcons come away with the puck as Wallen slow to get up. He'll shake it off and go right to the bench. The Falcons lose the puck behind the net of Musser, who steps out and makes the play. Out to center ice, Pilling tips it toward Colmore, who covers it up. And we'll get a face-off in the defensive zone.
Yeah, and talking about Noah Morneau, he is not your typical freshman player. I mean, the amount of poise and just the skill set he's brought to this team this year has really sort of served as a stick of dynamite, especially for this Falcon offense. He played in the Ontario Hockey League last season. He had 11 goals there, or actually in the postseason in the OHL, rather, and he's just been a great addition for the Falcons this year.
Bowling Green's waiting for St. Thomas to get their change. Rico Blasi slow to get his Tommies out. The referees were talking with head coach Dennis Williams, and we're going to get a talking to from the referee here.
St. Thomas was challenging the previous play for missing the penalty. Plays under review.
Play is under review, says St. Thomas. The puck is in the zone of Bowling Green, so we'll see what this could be. They're challenging for a major, which they have to do. You cannot challenge a no call for a minor. And we'll see the replay here. That was the play from Niedermeyer to Wallen. Niedermeyer goes in for the check. Goes in shoulder first behind his own goal line on Wallen. Wallen's head looked like it snapped back, but it did not look like it was direct head-to-head contact.
No, that doesn't
not a good angle we've seen.
Doesn't look convincing enough to be a major to me, but we'll see what they say. Obviously another important call here, 16 minutes left in regulation.
Jackson Niedermeyer, if the penalty was going to go to anybody, it would go to him, if that is the play that they're referencing, the challenge. An initial shot in, and Niedermeyer, it didn't. Yeah, we'll have to see. Very close. Niedermeyer got the arm up and toward the chin of Wallen. Whether or not he made contact is up for debate, I guess.
Yeah, you did see that elbow kind of stick out in a bit of an aggressive way by Niedermeyer. Once again, though, this could go either way. Falcons have already dealt with a major penalty today with Stjernberg, so would not be ideal to deal with another.
Niedermeyer has an assist today, that on the Noah Morneau goal. That was his 9th assist of the season and his 12th total point for Jackson Niedermeyer, converting from a freshman or from a forward to a defenseman. St. Thomas no longer has their timeout, as there is no penalty, and that's a good break for the Falcons, because that could have been really bad if you had a major penalty on Niedermeyer there, taking out one of your better penalty killers, but also maybe a game misconduct that you just avoided.
Yes, and that is huge in a close game. You know, St. Thomas not having that timeout anymore. Now you're sort of seeing the momentum go back to the Falcons, which is definitely good if you're a BG fan here in this later tonight.
So 16 minutes, 15 seconds to go in the third period. 2-2 the tie. 1-1 after one period of play. 2-2 after two periods of play. And now we're working for a win or a loss. Big check there by Minville. That one clean. Down the left wing comes Max Martin with speed, working in. Shot toward Musser, who shrugs it aside. Behind the net, still Max Martin. In with the puck. On the half wall, skated out by St. Thomas, and Karodiak will be the first back. Skated a lot with Higgins today. That's a nice pairing there. Karodiak very defensive, very heavy player as well, and Higgins brought in for his offensive blue line ability as they change off. But that's a nice defensive pairing there, and now one of Niedermeyer and McKinley that do a bit of both. Very strong defensively and also very strong offensively, both of them. In his own corner, St. Thomas forces the puck up. McKinley will be the first one to touch it back. Godbout on the forecheck. Niedermeyer pushes it ahead after a D-to-D pass. Ryman up the left side. Defended by Cole Miller. Duran looks to clear the puck back out to the blue line, but is defended, and Barry Bauer will come up with the puck. Drafted by the Edmonton Oilers in 2024. The freshman, Barry Bauer. Behind the goal line. Here's Brody Waters. He looks to center it. It's saved by Cole Miller. He skates the puck away. The defenseman looks to clear. He pushes it ahead. Coming up with the puck is Hundley. The defenseman pushes it to Godbout, who shoves it in and goes for a change. Fresh set of skaters for St. Thomas and a fresh set for the Falcons as well. 14:30 to go in the third. Tie game here in the Slater Family Ice Arena. The first of two games between Bowling Green and St. Thomas. A centering pass by Morneau. He's got it in the slot. Hodson with the shot. Save made somehow by Musser. He didn't know where the puck was, but he was laying on it. Morneau got cross-checked. Looked like a bit high, but he saved it with his own stick.
Yeah, Musser just kind of getting lucky there, being in the right spot at the right time. And I think you're going to see in these last 15 minutes, you know, I think the winner here is going to be who gets more aggressive with shot volume and who's more willing to take a risk. There's been a lot of physicality in this game, and we just got to see who's going to deliver that final dagger as it comes to a close.
Looks like Morneau might be going to the box, and Jaden Grant's going to skate over to the referee and plead something. And we'll see what the call is here from the referees. And if Atami's going to go as well, it doesn't look like they are. Looks like it's just going to be a penalty against Noah Morneau. Now, I couldn't tell you what he said, but I can tell you what he did, and it was nothing egregious enough to get a penalty on. He wasn't happy with it. Jaden Grant wasn't happy with it, and that might be a game-changing call.
Yeah, and the fans not happy. You sort of hear a chorus of boos raining down from the stands here at the Slater.
Power play for St. Thomas. They're 2 for 4 today on those. Gaffney back up to the blue line. Both goals by Nathan Pilling from the right side in his office. The shot in by Van Vliet. It's gloved with the left hand of Cole Moore and saved.
This is now the fifth power play of the game for St. Thomas. Just not great for BG continually being in a penalty kill situation.
That call may be questionable. The one on Max Martin, certainly questionable. An interference penalty in front of the St. Thomas bench as he finished his check. Emerson on the boards. He flips it high off the backhand. Losing his stick was Gaffney, and now he'll get into the play, but the Falcons are able to clear it and go on a forecheck. McKinley will reset back into the box formation for Bowling Green. Niedermeyer guarding Gaffney, who's trying to break through. We saw only one time that the St. Thomas forwards were able to sneak past Bowling Green defensemen. It was Gaffney that did so, but the pass didn't land to him. Here's Sturzer. He's steered into the corner. He gets the puck away to Shane back out on the right wing side. Up to the blue line, Shane to Cheslock. Chase Cheslock back to Shane. Shane works in, high right wing circle. Pass in, Niedermeyer stabs it away out of the air. Nice stick control there by the defenseman. Gaffney working in, wrist shot blocked by Niedermeyer off of his calf. To the right wing side, Shane. 55 seconds to go. Emerson racing ahead for the puck. Played there out to center ice in the air by the goaltender, Musser. It's cleared back in by Bowling Green. Emerson will come off as he put pressure on the Tommies. 40 seconds to go in the power play for St. Thomas. The penalty for Noah Morneau for unsportsmanlike conduct. Good play there by Crampton. The puck came right to him, and he, without even handling the puck, just cleared it away. St. Thomas down the left wing. Nick Williams moves it more to center. The blue liner discs it out to the left side. Ryan O'Neill. Behind the goal line, Ryan O'Neill. The senior loses the puck. Crampton to clear. Can't do so. High slot. O'Neill gives it up. Wallen, his chance saved by the Falcons. Crampton and McKinley with their sticks to stop that chance. Wide open net for Wallen.
What a play, especially by McKinley, getting his glove on it and then clearing it away.
Morneau out of the box. 5-on-5 again. A big penalty kill for the Falcons. A much needed one after a controversial call, you could say. 12-10 to go in the third. 2-2 the score. The shot in by Simonovic, blocked by the linesman. The puck comes to the right wing side, takes a weird bounce off the boards, and doesn't come out to Higgins with open ice. So Quentin Pepper will fire it in, chase the puck. The big forward has some speed as well, but it's defended by the combination of Higgins and Simonovic. And BG on the clearing attempt out to center, puts it into their bench. So we're going to get a face-off back in their own zone.
BG finally has the advantage in shots on goal once again. 23 for the Falcons, 22 for the Tommies. So sort of back at even here in terms of where both these teams are at. 11 minutes left, or slightly less than 12 minutes.
21 saves for Carson Musser, 2 goals allowed. 20 saves for Cole Moore, 2 goals allowed. Both above 900 save percentage, and both having played very well today. Behind the net, Braden Crampton. Levis gets a stick on it, out to center ice. Poolman, he fires it in, and just long off of the carom for Crampton. Quentin Pepper battling, gives it up. St. Thomas with a shot, another one. Lepai with that one, a wraparound attempt from Pepper, snuffed out by Cole Moore. Bowling Green the other way, a 3-on-2 if they can get ahead. Now Sloan down the right wing, 2-on-4. Some Falcons peeled off, shot from Sloan from outside the right wing wheel, and it's saved by Musser. Falcons back in the offensive zone, and some pushing again going on in front of the 6'4" St. Thomas goaltender.
On that save by Musser, just took it right into the center of his chest. He's just had great awareness navigating the net all day.
Carson Musser in net for the Tommies had 2 goals allowed and 39 saves versus Bowling Green on November 22nd. That was the second game of the series at Anderson Arena in St. Paul, the home of St. Thomas hockey. His second career win that game after 4 games played of losing. He won 1, lost 4 in a row, and then won another one against the Falcons 6-2. Korodiak pins up the man, gets the puck away. McKinley with it. Pilling goes for a check, and the Falcons up. Through the middle. Hodson the shot from deep. No rebound as it's gloved by Musser, and he was really hoping for maybe the puck to drop down, and he had a couple of good cleanup guys out with him. Emerson and Morneau, the main 2.
Yeah, that was just a shot sort of right into Musser's glove. Just not ideal, but you got to admire BG taking chances, being aggressive here. Although just under 11 minutes left in this game.
Still tied. We're knotted up at 2. Take a look around the rest of the CCHA. Only 2 other games going on right now. Ferris State with a 2-1 lead over Bemidji State, and Augustana a 2-1 lead over Michigan Tech. That game in the third period, Bemidji and Ferris at the start of the second. Higgins looks to poke it ahead with his hand out of range, but he never connected with it, and that probably would have been a hand pass anyway, laying down on the ice. Swept ahead by St. Thomas, stopped by Moore behind the net of the Falcons. Offensive zone turnover by Lucas Wallen. He's been everywhere today, but the Falcons have done a good job limiting him and limiting the 5-on-5 ability of St. Thomas. Head coach Dennis Williams says 5-on-5 scoring is at a premium, and it certainly is today for St. Thomas. Both goals that they've scored, power play. Left wing fed in by St. Thomas. They have to go for a change as that shift for the first line, the highest scoring line of Gaffney, Wallen, and O'Neill is essentially wasted by Bowling Green, and now they have their third line back out. Sturtzer, Pilling, and Van Vliet, the second highest scoring line. Turnover in the offensive zone to clear it. Godbout is stopped out to center ice. Crampton will skate to get there before Sturtzer. He's able to do so, but turnover to Pilling. Low angle shot, side of the net. Crampton with the puck. Up down the right wing side. Minville through center ice. 9:30 to go in the third. Minville down the right wing. Low angle chance. Karam's back up to the blue line. To Korodiak. His shot up high of Musser, who sees it in like a first baseman. 9:18 to go in the third. 2-2 the score. This timeout brought to you by Juniper Brewing Company. Located at 145 South Main Street and downtown Bowling Green, featuring coffee and craft beer and serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. See the latest menu at juniperbrew.com. You're listening to Falcon Hockey here on WBGU 88.1 FM.
Quinn Emerson earned CCHA Forward of the Week after a standout performance in the home-and-home series against Notre Dame. Over the 2 games, the senior forward recorded 4 points. He posted a goal and 2 assists on Friday night, then followed it up with another assist on Saturday. Emerson continues to set the pace for the Falcon offense by leading the team in both assists and total points, and is tied for the team lead with 8 goals on the season. This has been 60 Seconds in Falcon Athletics.
Check out bgfalconmedia.com for previews, recaps, photos, videos, and more of the Falcons.
Back here in the Slater Family Ice Arena, a 2-2 tie we have through about 50 minutes of gameplay. Actually, what is that, 50 minutes and 42 seconds. Notably not a math guy myself, but I think I did the math right there. 9:18 to go in the third period, so you can double check that for yourself. And the Falcons and the Tommies, as we mentioned, tied at 2, and this has been a much better third period than it was at the last half of the second period, Kevin, but still the job not done. You have half of the third to go, and you still need to put a goal up. That'll be the game winner if you get it.
Yeah, for sure, and these teams have been locked in a stalemate. It's been about 18 minutes of ice time since the last score, with St. Thomas scoring at the 12:51 mark of the second period. So it's been a while. Both of these teams kind of keeping each other in check here.
St. Thomas wins the face-off. The outlet pass to Gaffney doesn't land. It was in his skates, and it'll be an icing against St. Thomas, so we'll drop puck at the same spot. 9:10 to go in the third. So many different offensive weapons that you can find,
Ben
especially
Korak
on breakaways. Myself, Ben Korak, as you just heard, along with Kevin Hutchinson for the Falcon Media Sports Network. For all BGSU sports news and updates, go to bgfalconmedia.com, BG_FMSN on Twitter, X, and BG Falcon Media on Instagram and Facebook. Also, we'll have a highlight package posted at bgfalconmedia.com, BG Falcon Media YouTube channel as well. So go give a subscribe and look at our content for that. Offsides were St. Thomas. They can't go on the forecheck yet. The Falcons have the puck behind their net after a scary chance a second ago, but nothing materialized. Here's Morneau down the left side, beat Hundley into the corner, and he's pinned up by both Hundley and Pilling. Waters on the loose puck. He's got it at the goal line to Morneau. Low angle chance, missed wide left, and because of the curve in the wall, it'll come down to the Falcon end with their touch. McKinley, after Korodiak gets wasted away by both Sturtzer and Van Vliet. Lead pass up to Duran in front of the St. Thomas bench. Poolman with the check there against Duran. Pinned the puck up as well. Crampton touches the puck. Offsides after a save made by Carson Musser. He touched it just on the plus side of the blue line as the puck came out. 8:15 to go in the third. An impressive job today as well for the Falcons. They haven't got the win yet by any means. They haven't even taken a point, but St. Thomas is a team that scores 4 goals a game, and you've held them to just 2 through about 2.5 periods.
That is good, but there are still 8 minutes left, so we'll see what happens here.
Levis pushes it ahead. This is an all-freshman line. Sloan, the centerman, Levis, the right winger, and Brandon Wynot, the left winger. Brett Foe, of course, out of the lineup today. Connor Levis and Brandon Wynot, the two guys that have been rotating in and out kind of the last couple of games. Brett Foe's been playing very well, but he is injured now. Took a big hit at the end of the second Notre Dame game that, according to the stories on Instagram of some of the guys on the team, he had a couple of broken ribs and a punctured lung. Most likely going to be out for the rest of the season, but we'll see. But he, a senior, along with Dalton Norris, a senior and captain, who is hoping to make a return before playoffs, as the Falcons down a couple of key pieces.
And that makes the closeness of this game even more impressive. You see the depth of this BG team hanging in there with the top team in the conference.
Ryman goes to turn the puck over. The pass is going to be iced against St. Thomas. They've tried to stretch it out, and they're being put a lot of pressure on by Bowling Green. That pressure's got nowhere to go but for an icing, so St. Thomas will have to try and win a draw on their own end. They've done a better job, but the Falcons still leading in the face-off circles, 33-27. Out blocking St. Thomas 16-10 on full cells, and this is classically the lowest blocking team in the CCHA, although that's kind of bent away by Bowling Green allowing the least shot attempts in the CCHA. But still, the least amount of blocks, the most Northern Michigan, who allows the most shot attempts in the CCHA, unsurprisingly, both of those statistics. There's an icing against Bowling Green. So Bowling Green will not get a change. St. Thomas will get an offensive zone face-off, and this could turn into some offense for the Tommies.
Yeah, this is going to be a very important defensive moment here for the Falcons. You had 7 minutes left. Certainly don't want to allow a goal here, because then you'll be on your heels and sort of be forced to play desperate.
Duran knocks Pilling down to the ice. Face-off win for Pilling, though. The shot in on Moore, and he uses a stick to direct it into the corner. Rebound chances for Bowling Green, some of the lowest in the NCAA, as told to me by the director of ops. And goaltending worker Dusty Carlson was a goaltender back in the day, and the goaltender coach for the Falcons. He's done a fabulous job this season with Cole Moore, Jacob Steinman, who, if the pattern is correct, we'll see tomorrow, and then Tyler Palmer, who might be the best third-string goaltender in the CCHA and maybe in the NCAA as well. Fantastic player, and just doesn't see ice time because Steinman and Moore have just been so consistently good.
Yeah, the goaltending room is truly something special for this Falcon team.
Bad bounce, puck at the slot. Sturzer working in. He's a big body and a good skater, and he's had a lot of pressure on the Falcons today, and they defended him well. He hasn't really got too many shots on his tries. Icing is waved off. Moore a bit surprised by the call. 6 minutes exactly to go in the third period. 2-2 the score. The Falcons, after a two-man forecheck, have the puck behind their net. Force up, deep pass to Max Martin on the left wing boards in the neutral zone. Turned over to St. Thomas. They go high off the glass. Ryan O'Neill, the outlet to Gaffney. Gaffney defended by three Falcons. Morneau makes him move all the way to the outside. Gaffney makes a man miss. Leaves it for O'Neill. Back up, blue line. St. Thomas with the puck. Miller the force down. It's off the back of the net as Niedermeyer pulled it away. He's got the puck on a string. He takes that string into the corner, winds it to himself. 5:30 to go in the third. Falcons recover and lift it out to center. Emerson goes for a check on Miller. Gives a one-handed shove to Miller, who lost a step and lost the puck, but the possession stays with the purple and white. Bowling Green with it behind their net. McKinley and Korodiak out on D. Hodson to get a touch. It's touched by Musser. Hodson did get a touch, so it's not an icing. St. Thomas, another try at sneaking behind the defense, and the freshman Ty Higgins is there to disrupt the pass. Behind the goal line, Shane working up the right wing side. Pass to the middle. Didn't land to Attila Lapai. Lapai from St. Paul, Minnesota, where he was born, but has a Hungarian connection. His sister used to play for St. Thomas, but now plays for Hungary, actually Budapest, in the European Women's Hockey League. She played a couple of seasons as a defenseman with St. Thomas and the St. Thomas women's team. 4:20 to go in the third period. 2-2 the score, and now we're worried about going to overtime, at least here in the broadcast booth. Not that that's a bad thing. We've had a lot of luck with overtime games recently. Shootout win for Bowling Green at Notre Dame. Shootout loss for Bowling Green here in this building against Notre Dame. And a couple of overtime contests before that are very entertaining. Falcons doing a good job of entertainment value this season. They recover the puck in their own zone. Outlet to Grant. Grant pushes the puck ahead with Waters. Waters had some open ice, but the pass didn't land to him, and the puck back down into BG's end with an icing against the purple and white. 3:40 to go in the third, 2-2 tie.
Yeah, Ben, I think I speak for all the fans in here when I say that overtime hockey is pretty entertaining. And with the season winding down, there are just 3 more home games, 3 more regular season home games after tonight. So I think these fans would like as much hockey as they can possibly get their hands on.
One of the games earlier this season between Bowling Green and St. Thomas went to overtime. That was a overtime winner by Ben Duran. Crampton the shot in, down behind the goal line. Bowling Green with the puck, offensive zone. Another shot in, blocked by St. Thomas. They take it out. Braden Crampton calling for the puck. He was wide open, but didn't get the pass from Higgins, who just elected to take the shot. Quentin Pepper in on the forecheck, but couldn't land the puck. Martin goes to play the puck inside of the body. Crampton out to center ice. Gaffney gives it up. Down the left wing comes Ryan O'Neill with Wallen and Gaffney ahead. The top scores for St. Thomas. 2 of them, Wallen and Gaffney, the leaders. And O'Neill, also one of the leaders, as this puck comes way out of play and strikes a fan.
Yeah, definitely hit him hard.
Hit him on the side of the head. Looks like he's bleeding immediately after that puck coming out of play. And he's being tended to by the crew of Bowling Green hockey, so he'll have some of the best attention in the CCHA. Doesn't make it feel any better, though, I'm sure.
No, that was a bit of a frightening series of events. The puck flew out at a really high rate of speed, and it was rotating as well, probably adding to the force, hoping and praying he'll be okay.
Puck standing on the dot after the drop from the linesman, and Martin comes up with the puck. Lifts it off the glass and outside of his own blue line. Minville goes for a check, and that takes the Tommy out of the play that would have had the puck had Minville not caught the body. Held in the blue line. Van Vliet gives it up. Pilling looking for a pass. Goes top shelf, but misses the crossbar. Goes up high and over the 6'6" Cole Moore. 2:30 to go in the third period, and icing against the Falcons in an offensive zone faceoff for St. Thomas. Bowling Green does not have a timeout, neither does St. Thomas. Both used on challenges for a major penalty, both unsuccessful. And thus will only have the timeout in the overtime if it goes that far.
And that's an interesting strategic wrinkle, when a coach is very aggressive using those challenges early on. It can sort of come back to bite you in a late game situation where you could really use one right now, but obviously neither teams have it.
Korodiak off the glass, the curved glass, and down into the St. Thomas end. Another icing as the Falcons are trying to clear and get a change, but again couldn't do it. So they're skating tired with no way to get the guys a rest. They can't use a challenge because if it's unsuccessful, they'll go on a penalty kill, and you don't want to give a power play to St. Thomas, who's already scored 2 on 4 attempts today.
Yeah,
and you don't have a timeout left either. 2:24 to go in the third, 2-2 score. Face-off one back for Bowling Green. Crampton slowly skating with the puck. Out at center ice, reaching for the tip was Hodson, but he couldn't get it. On the pass from Crampton, it was just a bit ahead of the junior. And they're skating real tired now and really need a change bad.
Yeah, pretty tough here, backs against the wall. As you said, not able to get that necessary change.
This is what you have this first line for if you're St. Thomas. Williams, Gaffney, O'Neill, and Wallen, but Wallen can't win the draw. Turnover. Lucas Wallen in the right wing boards, pinned up by Korodiak and Crampton. They need to poke the puck free and get it out to center ice to get a change. They have the short change from their own zone now, but held in by St. Thomas. Down the left wing comes Gaffney, defended by Korodiak. Emerson skates it out the blue line. Bowling Green will go for a change. They need to get almost everybody off. They're able to do so. St. Thomas coming in. Ryan O'Neill lost the puck. Turned back over to Waters and Duran. Back to Waters. He takes it in the O-zone. Waters is poked into the corner. He's still got the puck. Down to Duran. Duran, Bowling Green is offense. Low angle shot. Just somehow got to Musser, but he's able to make the save with the blockers. Minute 30 to go in the third period. 2-2, the tie between Bowling Green and St. Thomas. Hand up high there of Niedermeyer. He goes for a check and turns the puck over. McKinley in his own zone. Niedermeyer with him, with the puck on the near side. Played in by Gaffney, and the Falcon defensemen are back. A minute 10 to go in the third. Don't want to give up possession this late in the game. If you're the Falcons, you want to hold it as long as you can. Musser wraps it around. Right wing side up at the blue line. Higgins, the puck never got to him though. An intended pass for him from Max Martin, who goes to defend Cage Sturzer. Sturzer working in, goal line. Wraps it around to the blue line. Poolman with 45 seconds to go. Miller, the alternate captain, shot in, dancing on the slot. Higgins clears it away. High slot again, Van Vliet. Shot over the head of Cole Moore. A rebound chance, slot, Falcons clear it. Slowly down, St. Thomas will get a touch. The Falcons get a change. 30 seconds to go in the third. 2-2 the score. Bowling Green and St. Thomas in game one of this two-game series this weekend. Emerson in the corner. Offensive zone. Battling with Hundley. Morneau in there as well. Dominic Ryman. McKinley with the puck. Back up blue line. Shot in McKinley. Traffic in front. Didn't find its way through. 5 seconds to go in the third. Falcons in the O-zone. St. Thomas, after turning the puck over, crosses it over toward Cole Moore. Time expires. And we're going overtime between Bowling Green and St. Thomas. 2 game ones this season between these two teams, and both of them are going to go to overtime.
Yeah, pretty interesting there. You know, both teams are actually even now in shots on goal, both of them having 26. And my eye here would actually be on Quinn Emerson. He's had a quiet night, no points and no blocks, but he's usually a leader for this team, so it'll be interesting to see if Dennis Williams gives him an opportunity here to win this one for the Falcons.
Back here in just a minute for the overtime period. 3-on-3 for 5 minutes between Bowling Green and St. Thomas. Falcon Hockey here on WBGU 88.1 FM.
If you're a veteran looking to file for your service-connected benefits through the Department of Veterans Affairs, don't go it alone. AMVET's highly trained service officers stand ready to walk you through the process at VA regional offices around the country, helping you to navigate the complex VA system free of charge. With new presumptions for Agent Orange exposure and other conditions, AMVETS can offer you the advice you need to finally receive all of your earned benefits. In 2009 alone, AMVETS helped process more than 65,000 claims and appeals, securing more than $410 million in benefits. To find your nearest AMVET service officer or to learn more, visit amvets.org.
Falcon Media Sports Network and BG Falcon Media takes pictures for nearly all BGSU and Bowling Green related events throughout the year. Head over to bgfalconmedia.com to check out thousands of photos and all the content.
This is Falcon Media Sports Network hockey coverage on WBGU 88.1 FM.
An overtime game earlier this season between Bowling Green and St. Thomas. That one won by Ben Duran in that overtime period at Lee and Penny Anderson Arena in St. Paul, Minnesota. Today we're in the Slater Family Ice Arena. We have another 2-2 tie through regulation. We have another chance for an overtime winner for the Falcons. The only overtime game winner for St. Thomas this season was against number 18, Minnesota State, November 1st. Earlier this season, that was Nathan Pilling. He had that overtime goal. The Falcons have 2 overtime goals this season. It's Breck McKinley and Ben Duran. So we'll skate 3-on-3 for 5 minutes. An even strength as we start this overtime period. The last 2 overtimes the Falcons went to resulted in shootouts. Actually, the last 3. 2 against Notre Dame and 1 against Ohio State.
It's a pretty incredible stat, actually. 3 shootout games recently. Falcons have been raising the blood pressure of the fans for sure.
Pilling wins the draw back. 10 wins and 9 losses on the game for Nathan Pilling, filling in for Jake Brasini, who left in the first period with what looked to be a nose injury after the hit from Gustav Stjernberg that got him ejected from this contest. Down the right wing comes Pilling. St. Thomas working in through the neutral zone. Almost turned it over to Dom Ryman, who's battling for the loose puck with Hundley up at the blue line. St. Thomas with the only overtime win this season. 1. The Falcons have 2. Ty Higgins with the puck now. Bowling Green after the takeaway. 4:20 to go in the overtime frame. Ty Higgins working in, looking to give it up. He circles back up blue line. Gives it up to Duran, who takes it outside of the offensive zone. Offside's not too much of a concern for these two squads in overtime. No squads really in overtime. Morneau, his shot off of the glove of Musser. The centering pass. Emerson couldn't find it off of Niedermeyer. Cole Moore steps out of the crease. Bank pass ahead to Morneau. Tries to gain the entry. Flings it into the corner. But there first is Lucas Wallen. Wallen, Gaffney, and Cheslock out for St. Thomas. These are big scoring players. Cheslock with a lot of assists, no goals. But Wallen and Gaffney supply those for this 3-on-3 unit. Lucas Wallen, 18 goals coming into today. Alex Gaffney, 16 goals coming into today, and the only 2 goals this game for St. Thomas scored on the power play by Nathan Pilling. Hodson breaking down the left wing comes Jake Sloan. A hit in front of the Falcon bench, a penalty wanted by the Falcons and the Falcon fans. And now Chase Cheslock comes up the right wing, defended by Jaden Grant. Cheslock has to peel it back out to the blue line. Gaffney working in, shot, missed wide right. Good shot there by the grad student. Takes the puck in the half wall. Duran skates away with it. Under 3 to go in the 5-on-5, or the 3-on-3 5-minute overtime. I apologize. 2.5. Crampton gains the entry. The defenseman down the left wing working in. Poke check by Godbout. Crampton blows a tire. Duran pins the puck up. Luke Leyland along the left side working in. Shot. Score! Down the left wing. St. Thomas wins it in overtime. 2 points for the Tommies. Just 1 for the Falcons. Luke Leyland with the disc pass.
Pretty incredible play there by St. Thomas. Sort of got Cole Moore to work toward one side of the net, the right side of the net, and was just able to bury that puck there in the left side of the net. Certainly a disappointing result. The Falcons fought hard all game despite being depleted and despite losing Stjernberg early. But ultimately, the number 1 team in the CCHA comes away with the win. It was Nick Williams with that game-winning goal.
Nick Williams, his second game-winning goal as a Tommy. And the Tommies, who currently sit at first in the CCHA, take 2 points and will stay at the top. The Falcons will climb 1 and tie themselves with Minnesota State at the 4 spot, still with the game in hand over the Mavericks. Bill and Karen Hofford, stars of the game, coming up in a minute, and our sign off and send back to the Cooling Center studios. You're listening to Falcon Hockey here on WBGU 88.1 FM.
BG Hockey finishes their weekend series against St. Thomas at the Slater Family Ice Arena on Saturday, February 7th.
Falcon Media Sports Network's Gavin Gill, Kevin Hutchinson, and Artie Abrego will start the broadcast with a pregame show at 5:45 p.m. before Ben Korak and Vaughn Allum call the game at 6:07 p.m. on WBGU 88.1 FM,
your home for Falcon Hockey.
Falcon Media Sports Network writes and publishes over 1,000 stories per year, including game previews, recaps, sidebars, opinion pieces, feature stories, and more. Head over to bgfalconmedia.com to view all of our content for every sport throughout the year.
Check out recaps of this and every BGSU hockey match online at bgfalconmedia.com.
St. Thomas advances to 18-8-3, and the Falcons down to 14-6-7. They take an overtime loss, and the Tommies take an overtime win. The stars of the game today brought to you by Bill and Karen Hoffert, longtime BGSU hockey fans and Falcon Club members. Third star of the game given to a Falcon. The only Falcon receiving a star of the game is Noah Morneau. He had the what stood as the second goal for the Falcons and the one that ended up making it a 2-2 tie through 3 periods of action. He had that plus a team-leading 9 shots, 4 shots on goal, and +1 rating, also with 12 face-off wins and only 6 face-off losses, the best ratio of any Falcon today. The second star of the game, Nathan Pilling, he had 2 goals, both on the power play, and the game-tying goal after Morneau's 9th of the season. Pilling had his 14th, both from the same spot, both from the right wing face-off circle, and both on the power play were the difference in the regulation of today's game. And then the first star of the game is going to Nick Williams. The defenseman had a goal and an assist. He helped on one of Nathan Pilling's goals, the game-tying one at that, and then he had the game winner in overtime, just the second overtime game winner of the season for St. Thomas. He also had 4 shots, 3 of them shots on goal, and a block as well for the Tommies. The Tommies take a 3-2 overtime win over the Falcons, and there was some room to be gained by the Falcons, certainly. They didn't play a perfect game, Kevin. They played pretty well, but it's certainly some room for improvement, I should say, going into tomorrow when they take on the Tommies again and still try and knock off that number 1 team and number 15 in the nation.
Yeah, for sure, Ben. I think this was sort of a game where the Falcons started with a lot of momentum, but then lost a lot of it in the second period, kind of got it back in the third period, but ultimately to win games consistently in a conference this competitive, you got to put together 60 complete minutes of hockey, and we ultimately just didn't see that today. To be fair, BG was not at full strength, not having Dalton Norris and losing Goose early. They played well despite that, but you got to, avoid those momentum shifts if you can.
Kevin Hutchinson alongside myself, Ben Korak here from the Slater Family Ice Arena, signing off, and we'll talk to you tomorrow, 6:07 for puck drop on the Saturday game of Bowling Green versus St. Thomas. Now we'll send it back to Nate, Artie, and Andrew back in the Cooling Center studios. They'll wrap up our broadcast today. Final score, 3-2. St. Thomas beats Bowling Green in overtime. You're listening to Falcon Hockey here on WBGU 88.1 FM.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
BGSU Gymnastics returns to the Stroh Center to face Wilberforce and Fisk on Sunday, February 8th at 2 p.m. Check out bgfalconmedia.com for the recap of the contest by Falcon Media Sports Network's Carter Leonard with photos and video on bgfalconmedia.com.
Welcome into our Falcon Media Sports Network post-game show. St. Thomas Tommies getting a win in overtime tonight. Quite an exciting matchup tonight. Very heated throughout. But yeah, got through it and got into overtime even. Artie, you are having bad luck with this.
Oh yeah, I've been here for the Notre Dame games in the studio for this, and now this one. They've all gone to overtime.
That's 3 in a row for overtime.
3 in a row.
Right?
This is the only game that hasn't gone to the shootout. So unfortunately, it does result in a Falcons loss, but we avoided the shootout tonight.
Yeah, certainly. And Andrew, you have a recap of what happened in that first. I don't know.
The whole game, right?
Whole game, yeah.
All right, let's look at this whole thing here. All right, so in the first period, the Falcons opened up with a score by Brody Waters. He was assisted by both Ben Duran and Tyler Hodson. The St. Thomas Tommies respond in turn with a goal of their own. By Nathan Pilling. Both these goals in the first period were off of power plays. Nathan Pilling was assisted by Lucas Whalen and Ryan O'Neill. Then we moved to the second period where the Falcons came out swinging with a goal by Noah Morneau on even strength. He was assisted by Braden Crampton and by Tyler Hodson. After about 10 minutes of not a whole lot going on, the Tommies punched back with another Nathan Pilling goal off of a power play. He was assisted by Nick Williams and Lucas Whalen yet again. And then in that third period, no goals scored, so it was still 2-2 at the end of regulation, which brought them to overtime. And 2 minutes and 26 seconds into overtime, Nick Williams for the Tommies scores on that even strength. He was assisted by Luke Leyland and by Dylan Godbout.
All right, coming up, we will talk more about tonight's matchup. We'll also get a check of those scores going on around the CCHA. Plus, we'll tell you what else you can hear from the Falcon Media Sports Network this weekend. Don't go anywhere. We're wrapping things up with our Falcon Media Sports Network post-game show coming up right after this on WBGU 88.1 FM.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, can potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by
BGSU women's track and field finishes competition at the Doug Raymond Invitational in Kent, Ohio on Saturday, February 7th. Falcon Media Sports Network's Dan Ridenhour will have a recap of all the news and results from day 2 of the event on bgfalconmedia.com.
All right, welcome back to our Falcon Media Sports Network post-game show. Again, the St. Thomas Tommies get a win over Bowling Green State University tonight in overtime. Now, Andrew and Artie talking more about tonight's matchup. It was really a close one for St. Thomas being favored to coming in. Bowling Green was able to stay competitive through most of it and just were able to keep it going up until overtime. So what were some more things you guys saw tonight from the Falcons and the Tommies, and how do you think that'll affect tomorrow night's game?
Well, I mean, it was a pretty physical, fast matchup all game long. I mean, it was close the whole way through all 3 periods into overtime. I mean, that's the type of game that was expected to be played. I mean, shots on goal were very even. Both teams had 27, but it really felt like that the third period was probably the quietest one between both teams. Not a lot of shots on goal. They were pretty evenly matched in that category. So it was definitely felt like the intensity kind of wavered off as it went on, as both teams got a little more gassed, a little more tired as the game went on. So I'm expecting to see something similar tomorrow night. I think it's going to be very close once again. I think it may even go to overtime once again. I mean, I'm going to be in the studio for that, so it probably will. But, it was about what I expected. It was close. Both teams were competitive, but I just feel like it's a tough loss in this weekend series for BG.
Yeah, I think the Falcons are going to go into tomorrow's game with a bit of a chip on their shoulder. I think they're not going to want to take this loss lightly. They're going to want to go in there and they're going to want to get their get back over the Tommies. I think really what they're going to want to do is they're going to want to kind of clean up their act a little bit. They spent 19 minutes in the penalty box today. That's just not what you want to see if you're, head coach Dennis Williams. You want your team to play clean, and you want them to be eliminating unnecessary mistakes, which I think contributed to the Falcons falling short tonight.
Yeah, all right. Should mention, too, a very cool thing went on over at the Slater Family Ice Arena tonight, besides just the competitive game. It was teddy bear drop night, so the goal was to have 1,000 teddy bears thrown out on the ice, and then those teddy bears are going to be donated to Nationwide Children's Hospital up in Toledo. So, doing it for a good cause and obviously having a lot of fun with it. I looked out, I saw a video of it, and I don't know if it was 1,000, but it looked like they got.
It looked close. It looked close. I mean, the amount that I saw that was thrown onto the ice, it seemed pretty close to 1,000. So I hope they reach the goal. I mean, that's a great thing to do. Those kids are going to be very happy with all the new teddy bears they're going to get. I mean, it seemed like a lot. I mean, people got, I think Kevin mentioned, just the amount of variety that they had there at the show when they're throwing on the ice. People really went all out for that, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely, and it's a very cool event. You can have fun with the game, and then also, support a great cause and make some kids happy. All right, getting a look at what's going on around the CCHA this evening. Got the Michigan Tech Huskies. They defeated Augustana Vikings 3-2 tonight. And then in action right now, actually already in the third, Ferris State is up on Bemidji State 4-1. So quite a good lead for Ferris State right now. And that one's in the third with 15-17 left. That's actually a pretty competitive one. I wasn't really expecting Ferris State to be pull that far ahead, but yeah, that is 4-1 right now. Ferris State up on Bemidji State. Anyways, you guys got the Falcon Media Sports Network Player of the Game for tonight.
Yeah, I think for me, at least for the Falcons, I'm gonna keep it at Noah Morneau. You know, he had one of their 2 goals. He had 4 shots on goal. He won 12 faceoffs on his own. I mean, he did spend 2 minutes in the penalty box, but still a great performance from him tonight.
And if you look at the Tommy side of the puck, I would say probably Nathan Pillion. He scored those 2 goals that helped the Tommies get into the overtime to pick up the win. So if you look at the Tommy side of the puck, I would go with Pillion.
All right, starting to wrap things up for tonight. Got some more broadcasts coming up, though, here tomorrow on WBGU 88.1 FM. Women's basketball taking on Coastal Carolina today. Tomorrow. 2 o'clock tip-off for that here on WBGU. They're taking on Coastal Carolina. You can tune in with about a 1:35 pregame. Artie will be in my spot tomorrow, joined by Sam Bork. And is Tyler Kavlitz going to be the one with you?
Yes, Tyler Kavlitz will be with us. Me, myself, and Tyler Kavlitz, and Sam Bork. I did not clone myself, but yes, all 3 of us will be in the studio tomorrow afternoon for the women's basketball matchup.
And then, Artie, you are going to be pretty much here all day tomorrow.
Yes, cannot wait. So I'm pulling a Nate Henners and spending my entire day in a radio studio.
I got the day off tomorrow.
Oh, okay. It's a rare day off for you then. Never mind.
It's going to be a weird Saturday not doing anything. But then in the evening, St. Thomas Tommies once again for hockey. 6:07 puck drop for that. Gavin Gill, Kevin Hutchinson, and you, Artie, will be here in studio.
You sound more excited about that. You know, I'm back again. I know.
Yeah. But yeah, so we will have a full day of women's basketball and hockey here on WBGU 88.1 FM. Of course, you can always listen online too on bgfalconmedia.com. Besides that, though, men's basketball in action tomorrow. Also this weekend, we got gymnastics. The softball is back, and so much more. Women's track. So you can check that out. Coverage of all those on recaps, previews, bgfalconmedia.com. So even if we don't have a broadcast, we will have coverage of that on bgfalconmedia.com. But yeah, it's going to start to wrap things up for us tonight. Artie and Andrew, your final thoughts?
Definitely a tough loss for BG. I mean, they still have the game tomorrow to really get out of this weekend series with a 1-1 record, but it's definitely going to have to start picking up. I mean, they're still 5th in the standings. You want to get all the points you can, especially when you want to surpass Minnesota State. So definitely going to be a tough game for them tomorrow.
Yeah, I think just don't take this loss too harshly. That's gonna happen. Just don't brush it off, but don't let it affect you when you come into the game tomorrow. You just gotta stay focused and be ready to perform.
All right, some good things for tomorrow night's matchup. Again, going on 6:07 puck drop, and you can listen here on WBGU. But yeah, for us, that's going to wrap things up for us tonight. Of course, be sure to tune in for that women's basketball coverage, and then hockey coverage starting tomorrow, 1:35 here on WBGU 88.1 FM. For us now, though, for me, Nate Henners, Andrew Olkowski, and Artie Abrego, have a great night. Of course, stay warm, stay safe out there, and you're listening to WBGU FM in Bowling Green, Ohio.
This broadcast has been a Falcon Media Sports Network production. For more BGSU sports news and updates, follow Falcon Media Sports Network on Twitter X at BG_FMSN, BG Falcon Media on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and head over to BGFalconmedia.com.